Chapter 1137. Shimen Wuching felt that he was about to explode. He would never have thought that Shimen Zhan, an advanced explorer, would die in the hands of a high-ranking law enforcer. However, when he heard the first disciple of the 100,000 mountains, he was horrified. What does that mean? The fool Shimen Lai mentioned has such a high status? Shimen Linglan looked at Han Fei with a complicated expression. For some reason, she felt uncomfortable when she saw Han Fei's eloquence. Of course, Han Fei had noticed Shimen Linglan's gaze a long time ago. He had been stared at by this gaze for so many years. To be honest, it was very complicated. He vaguely remembered the scene when Shimen Linglan fought the three venerable ones alone. However, at that time, he felt that Shimen Linglan had an affair with old Han. But now, he was upset. What kind of sin had he committed? There was also Jiao Wuxing. According to the scene in his mind, Jiao Wuxing's strength had reached the peak of the explorer level during the moving mountain battle. However, in order to protect everyone, Luo Shan used his weapon as a weapon and fought head-on with a venerable realm expert. At this time, Han Fei really wanted to say, "What af** King man?" Han Fei turned around and gave Shimen Linglan a calm smile. Then he turned around and his face suddenly changed. Today, Shimen Lai must die. Seniors, please help me seal the void. I don't want to let any of these people go. As soon as Han Fei said this, all the explorers present changed their expressions. Someone shouted, "You, even if you are the first disciple of the four venerable ones, do you know what you are doing? We don't have many strong masters. If you make the 100,000 mountains fight against us, who will defend the city?" Han Fei suddenly pointed and shouted, "If you say another word, I'll kill you first. Besides, I'm not that guy. My name is Wang Han, General Han of the Avenger. Also, my name is not that person, my name is Wang Han, Commander Han of the Avenger. Even if you all die, the human race won't." Han Fei looked around at everyone. "I have 500 years. You've underestimated the survivability of humans too much, and you've taken yourselves too seriously. A bunch of explorers clamoring to resist the Sea Tribe. Do you think you're qualified?" Shimen Linglan stared blankly at Han Fei, who was yelling at a group of explorers domineeringly. Is this what he really looks like? However, in the eyes of Jiao Wuxing and the others, Han Fei's performance made their blood boil. Look, what does it mean to be strong? Look, what is called domineering. Marshal Han was a high-level enforcer. Regardless of whether he relied on the 100,000 mountains or not, he was still a first-class tyrant. However, Old Bull buzzed, "Wang Han, before the king arrives, we can seal their path of retreat, but we won't attack." Han Fei smiled. "Thank you, senior. I'll kill Shimen Lai one-on-one." Han Fei twisted his head and pointed at Shimen Lai. "I'll give you a chance. I heard that you stole Ling Lan's spirit vein. I heard that you think a level 8 spirit vein is very strong. Very well, I'll give you a chance. If you beat me, you can leave." Shimen Lai's eyes lit up. Just now, he was really frightened. He had never expected that Han Fei's background would be so powerful. However, as a senior law enforcer, you want to fight me one-on-one? If I lose, I'll be an explorer for nothing. Wait a minute. Suddenly, a shout interrupted the two of them. Shimen Linglan stepped into the air and stood beside Han Fei. "Let me do it." Han Fei frowned slightly. However, thinking of Shimen Linglan's future, he nodded slightly. "Okay, be careful. In a battle, Han Fei would never break his hand. Not to mention that Shimen Linglan wouldn't lose. Even if Shimen Linglan lost, he would still kill Shimen Lai. After being a fool for 28 years, he finally woke up. With the 100,000 mountains behind him and the four supremes as his masters, he couldn't be arrogant? Han Fei pointed at Shimen Wuching. "Old fart, let Ling Lan send your precious grandson to the afterlife first. Just wait a little longer." "How dare you?" Shimen Wuching shouted, "Wang Han, even if we fight today, Do you think the 100,000 mountains will win? There are 12 explorers on the human side. Why are you so confident? The one-horned rhinoceros hummed. The elephant chief is on the way. The stupid tiger should be here soon. Old bear should be here soon. Are 3 peak-level explorers enough? If not, Ape 3 and Ant Bai should also be here. They are also peak-level explorers. You're a human. Do you want to call some people over? Han Fei remembered that Ape 3 was one of the apes who watched him being dragged away with a smile every day in the Beast King Valley. Except for Ape 3, all the other apes were peak-level explorers. Maybe it was just that Ape 3 was closer. And Ant Bai was the name of the 6-tailed white fox. She was a ruthless person. When he sneaked up on her with the colorful tiger, the two of them were beaten so badly that they ran away. Shimin Wuqing's face turned black. How could the 4 disciples of the 4 Supremes be so powerful? How many strong masters did the 100,000 mountains send out? Different from the 100,000 mountains, Shimin Wuqing didn't inform anyone else at all, because they wanted to divide the resources of the Avenger. After all, the Avenger had robbed for 7 days in a row, so there must be a lot of resources on board. In the end, he even included himself in this kind of scheme. The human vanguard ship had already begun to retreat. Everyone on the ship panicked. Damn it, they all knew that they were here to capture people, not to be beaten up. Suddenly, the crocodile said, "Should we seize that ship?" Han Fei smiled faintly. "This ship is not bad. I like it. Don't talk about how I treat the human race. They can go, but the ship must stay. Those who deserve to be punished will be punished sooner or later. Now, it's not a big deal for a few small fish to escape. The big fish can't leave." On the Avenger, someone immediately shouted, "That's right. They beat our ship like this. Leave the ship." Someone shouted, "How can one ship be enough? We need 2 of these 1,000-meter-long ships." Jia Wuxing shouted, "Useless. 2 ships are not enough. We lost 5 ships before. We need to return 10. Someone echoed, "Yes, old Jia is right. We need 10 ships." Han Fei grinned and his voice echoed in the void. "Did you hear that? You can go now. Go back and tell your families to prepare 10 such ships. Forget it, I won't take advantage of you. Leave this ship and prepare another 10 300-meter-long ships. After all, if I rob them myself, things will be different." Han Fei agreed with Jiao Wuxing and the others very much. The reason why he left this ship was that he remembered the real Avenger. It was a 1,000-meter-long ship, engraved with dense arrays. With his current attainments in arrays, it should be possible. However, engraving 10 ships at once? It was a bit difficult. Therefore, it was better to have smaller ships. After all, the Avenger only had about 20 people in total. Why did it need so many ships? Immediately, those people's faces turned green. Should I give them to them? Swish. 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 Someone had already fled. Should I give them to them or not? I have to take this opportunity to go back and report. Or, there must be other explorers on the way to the Storm Strait. I have to call for reinforcements. However, before they ran far, Han Fei's voice rang leisurely. "You can call for reinforcements, but remember to bring the ships." "I will remember this debt." Han Fei kicked off the show. Before he finished, he glanced at the old crew members on the Avenger. Han Fei asked, "Who has a grudge against you here?" Hearing Han Fei's question, someone immediately shouted, "Marshal Han, that guy is called Li Jiao. He is a junior explorer, right? That's the guy who F*** King killed my 2 brothers and even wanted to kill me along the way. At that time, he was still a peak-level law enforcer." "Yes, Marshal Han, the one in green. This guy is extremely brutal. Just because he comes from a big clan, he specializes in robbing the resources of law enforcers. My brother was intercepted and killed by him." "Yes, Marshal Han." Han Fei waved his hand. "You can't beat those who are too strong. Just say that there are problems here." Then Han Fei glanced around. You heard that, as a strong man, you can't compete with the weak for resources and sacrifice your comrade. Why do you want such a strong man? Each of you junior explorers counts as one. I'll give you a chance. If you beat me, you can go. When Han Fei spoke, he couldn't help glancing at the void. And the Beast King, who was hiding, couldn't help but touch his chin. What does this kid mean? Has he discovered me? No way. He was a dignified half-monarch existence. How could he have been discovered by him? The Beast King muttered to himself, but he didn't take it seriously. For now, this kid was quite arrogant after waking up. However, this was in line with the style of the beasts, so he especially despised those big clans. Not only him, but also the Giant King and the Water Immortal. Therefore, in the past, when they had to negotiate with the strong human beings, it was usually the Heavenly Crystal. Because the Heavenly Crystal was fast, those big clans didn't have the ability to trick it. Secondly, the Heavenly Crystal had a straight face and was easier to communicate with than them. On the human side, Dongfang Qi said frankly, "Wang Han, what do you want?" Someone softened a little and said, "Can we talk now?" Han Fei sneered. "Can we talk now? Sorry, I don't want to talk. As for what I want, it depends on her." Han Fei glanced at Shimin Linglan with a smile. She said that she wants to overthrow the rule of the big human clans. She said that she wants everyone in U City to become free people. She said that the Avenger will uphold human justice, and that all people should be united to fight against foreign enemies. Han Fei looked at Shimin Linglan again and smiled softly. "Am I right?" Shimin Linglan nodded repeatedly. Han Fei had woken up. Listen to him. Han Fei turned his head and shrugged. "I think she's right. So, I want there to be no big clans in U City. Is that clear enough?" EU boarded the Avenger in a daze. She thought she was going to die. She watched dumbfoundedly as the silly General Han became the first disciple of the four venerable masters. In the end, he watched in a daze as Han Fei was bossy and domineering. As for Jia Wuxing and the others, their bodies had already begun to tremble with excitement. Their hearts were surging. It was indeed General Han. So bold, so King bold. Only Marshal Han could say something like that. The Beast King, who was eavesdropping, scratched his butt and nodded slightly. 500 years, although not long, the war couldn't be launched overnight. He knew that there were many big clans in U City. If the resources of those big clans were exhausted, human beings might really usher in an era of comprehensive rise. More importantly, he believed that Han Fei's choice was definitely a choice made by the times. If it was against the development of the times, Han Fei would definitely not do this. Thinking of this, the Beast King continued to watch the show. Roar! Suddenly, the void trembled, and a brightly colored tiger jumped out of the void crack. As soon as he came out, he roared wildly, his roar shaking the sky. "Which idiot dares to touch my half-disciple? I'll swallow him in one bite." The one-horned bull buzzed, "Stupid tiger, don't flatter yourself. If the king hears this, he will beat you up when we get back." The tiger roared, "The king doesn't have time to care about this." "Ha ha! Wang Han, I heard that your spiritual sense has awakened. Do you still recognize me?" Han Fei scratched his head. "This is the shame of my life. I've never succeeded in sneak attacks with this guy." However, on the surface, Han Fei still grinned and said, "Lord Tiger, long time no see." The colorful tiger jumped over, put its big head next to Han Fei and roared, "Long time no see? I went to the sea to kill a few enemies, and the time passed. I finally took a nap. When I heard that you were beaten, I roared and came." "Stupid tiger, you talk too much." The void was torn again, and Aunt Bai walked over with graceful steps. She glanced at Wang Han and said, "Well, you've become a lot stronger." Roar. The void was torn again, and Yuan San jumped out with a big stick. He said with a smile, "Wang Han, you haven't returned to the Beast King Valley for a long time?" "Oh, Ling Lan is already an intermediate explorer?" That's quite fast. Shimin Linglan greeted Yuan San respectfully because she had never left the Beast King Valley. Therefore, she was not familiar with the tiger and ant bai. She was familiar with the demon plants, but she didn't know the one that came. The swallow-tailed kite didn't come, and the war giant was slow, so she didn't see him. So, when she saw Yuan San, Shimin Linglan greeted him respectfully. On the other hand, the faces of Shimin Wuqing and the others turned even greener. What should they do? The fight hasn't even started, and the strong ones are coming one after another. In the blink of an eye, the strong ones from the 100,000 mountains were enough to crush them on the sea. Han Fei said, "Seniors, Ling Lan and I will deal with the matter in front of us first." Then, he continued, "Shimin Lai, let's fight now. Also, does anyone want to challenge me? You can leave if you win. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Maybe I'll change my mind later." Roar. The tiger roared, "Did you hear that? If you want to fight, hurry up." Ant Bai poked Tiger King's head. "You have a loud voice. Shut up and let Wang Han deal with it himself." Shimin Linglan held the two knives in her hands. "Shimin Lai, I'll take back what you took from me." Shimin Lai knew that if he didn't fight, he probably wouldn't be able to leave today. He narrowed his eyes. "Okay, then let's fight." Shimin Linglan, cultivation is always about the survival of the fittest. If I have another chance, I will still do the same thing. I'll show you what a level 8 spiritual heritage looks like. Ant Bai said lightly, "Girl, do it yourself." Han Fei nodded slightly. This is her path. She will definitely win. In the past 18 years, the two of them had experienced so many things on the sea. It was definitely a legend. They had encountered the place where the Venerable died 3 times, and Shimin Linglan and he had survived. How could a pampered Shimin Lai be a match for them? "Captain, kill him. Captain, chop this pretty boy to death. Captain, chop him into pieces." Shimin Lai held a long sword in his hand. Behind him, a 7-headed python appeared. However, as soon as the giant python appeared, it merged with Shimin Lai. The old bull said, "The 7-demise python hasn't grown up yet." The two knives in Shimin Linglan's hands hovered. "Shimin Lai, is this why you're so confident?" Shimin Lai's face was livid. Time was too short. His spiritual beast and contractual spiritual beast hadn't grown up yet. However, they could still increase his strength. Therefore, he was possessed by a sailfish and an 8-tailed golden carp. He seemed to know that he was facing a difficult battle. It was a matter of life and death. He didn't have an advantage in terms of realm. He was at the beginner level, while Shimin Linglan had reached the peak of the beginner level. Since he couldn't close the gap in realm, he could only rely on secret method. At the level of an explorer, the effect of secret methods was extremely weak. Flames burned and Shimin Lai's strength soared, more than doubling. Shimin Linglan stepped in the air, with an ink-like black mist behind her. In the black mist, a pair of scarlet eyes appeared. Shimin Linglan said coldly, "You can take my spiritual heritage, but you can't take my spiritual beast. Its name is the Sea Cover Flag." Han Fei had seen the Sea Cover Flag more than once. This was indeed a living being, but it was a fog-shaped living being. Han Fei had never seen such a weird creature before. It could be said that if Shimin Linglan's spiritual heritage hadn't been taken, she would definitely be a heavenly talent. The Sea Cover Flag was as powerful as the purple sand eel, but it was even weirder. It would wrap up creatures and devour them, including their flesh, blood, and souls. Fuse. Unlike Shimin Lai, Shimin Linglan had experienced 10 times more battles than Shimin Lai. The Sea Cover Flag had been growing. Especially after going out to sea, there was an endless supply of spirit awakening fluid. Therefore, after fusing with the Sea Cover Flag, Shimin Linglan directly became an intermediate explorer. Swish. Shimin Linglan's figure disappeared. At that moment, Shimin Lai's eyes narrowed. So fast. Shimin Lai didn't know that Shimin Linglan had also learned the Heavenly Void Divine walking technique. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so confident at the beginning. 7 Kill Seal. 7 mystic lights formed an array in midair. Seal. A gray mist swept towards Shimin Linglan. However, endless black mist poured out, swallowing the gray mist like Lu Renquang's big mouth. Trap. The yellow mist surrounded Shimin Linglan, trying to tie her up when she swallowed the gray mist. However, Shimin Linglan's machete spun rapidly like a saw, with black and white on it. This was the supreme yin-yang wheel, or the little yin-yang wheel, that Han Fei had used before, which had taken them out of danger several times. Shimin Linglan was used to learning from Han Fei. Even if she didn't have any Tao, she still had some charm. The trap array was broken in an instant. Kill! Like a waterfall, the swords rushed towards Shimin Linglan. However, what made Shimin lie speechless was that there was an old turtle lying on Shimin Linglan's body. It was an array? Damn it, how could it be an array? There was a burst of laughter on the Avenger. Jiao Wuxing laughed. Captain is with General Han every day. Even I know a few arrays. How can Captain not know? At the level of an explorer, although they couldn't do whatever they wanted like spirit gatherers, they could still control spiritual energy easily. However, after observing for decades, it was still very easy for them to control spiritual energy. With the yin-yang wheel and the coiled turtle array, Shimin Linglan broke another seal. Shield. When he saw the shield, the corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up. If the shield could work, wouldn't armorists be invincible? The black and white yin-yang wheel turned crimson in an instant. While the yin-yang wheel cut the shield, Shimin Linglan held the 2 machetes in her hands and was surrounded by black mist. Shimin Lai felt that his energy and spiritual energy were disappearing, and the powerful effect of his level 8 spiritual heritage was reduced by half. Puchi! The 2 machetes directly turned into weapons, piercing through Shimin Lai's battlesuit and coming out of his body. The swords in Shimin Lai's hands turned into thousands of swords, trying to cut Shimin Linglan into pieces. However, the latter turned into mist and seemed to pass through his body. In the next second, Shimin Linglan appeared behind Shimin Lai, holding the 2 machetes in her hands again. Shimin Linglan said, "My machetes are my techniques." With only 1 slash, Shimin Lai was seriously injured, and a large amount of black mist spewed out of his body. The next moment, the black mist seemed to envelop Shimin Lai, and his flesh and blood were withering. Shimin Wuqing shouted, "Shimin Linglan, he's your brother." Shimin Linglan's eyes were cold. Her hands flashed in the air, and in the blink of an eye, thousands of machetes slashed into the black mist. In a moment, a crystal white bone fell from the sky. The sea cover flag swallowed flesh and blood, and it also ate souls. Shimin Linglan turned her head slightly and looked at Shimin Wuqing. "How can you say that? You stole my spiritual heritage and forced my mother to death. Do you expect me to acknowledge you? Or this brother?" Shimin Wuqing was shocked. Shimin Linglan's real combat power surprised him. How could she be so strong? She couldn't even defeat one of the 7 ultimate restrictions? Were those machetes law enforcement abilities? How could they ignore defenses in a small area? And the ability to turn into black mist, the black and white wheels, and the technique of instantly condensing arrays. But no matter what Shimin Wuqing thought, Shimin Lai was dead. In fact, from the beginning to the end, Shimin Linglan only used 1 slash. The thousands of slashes were just to vent her anger. The cries of the Avengers could be heard. "Congratulations, Captain! Congratulations, Captain!" Han Fei came to Shimin Linglan's side, reached out, and touched her head. Looking at the black mist, he frowned slightly and comforted her softly. "People have to embrace the light. Even if you're in darkness, you have to be your own light." Shimin Linglan was silent for a moment and hugged Han Fei gently. "You are my light." First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 1138. Shimin Linglan's strength was obviously beyond everyone's imagination. It could be described with 1 word: heterogeneous. Although it was mixed, it was still very strong. It wasn't Shimin Lingland's fault. Han Fei had shown too much heterogeneous power over the years, which made Shimin Lingland's power mixed up. Han Fei said casually, "Is there anyone else who wants to fight? If you want to fight, do it early. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't have a chance to fight again." Shimin Wuqing said to him telepathically, "Li Jiao, your physique is the strongest among the junior explorers. No matter how powerful Wang Han is, you should be able to defeat him. If you win, go back and ask the Venerable to come out." The explorer named Li Jiao's face changed slightly. "Theoretically, yes, but this kid is too strange. If he wasn't strong enough, how could he jump out and fight a life-and-death battle? Although it was almost impossible for an advanced explorer to kill an explorer, how could such a character be judged by common sense?" Li Jiao, just shut up. "Who cares? I'm not going." Although Han Fei was speaking ruthlessly, if everyone here really died today, the big clans of Yu City would definitely not let it go. He was still thinking about it. The tiger roared, "Humans, you're so boring. Do you think I can't hear you? You white-haired old guy, you tricked me into fighting Wang Han. Let this tiger take a shot with you." Roar. Aunt Bai pulled the tiger's ear and said, "Wait for the king." The next moment, the human experts were all stunned. What did she mean? Wait for the Beast King? Although they had never seen the Beast King, they heard that he had a bad temper. Besides, the Beast King was the strongest of the 4 Venerables in the 100,000 Mountains. In the Battle of the Venerables, the Beast King had killed 2 Venerables. At this moment, the humans were all shocked. Dongfang Qi roared, "Run!" In an instant, boundless gravity pressed down. The old bull mooed, the crocodile flicked its tail, and the ape attacked horizontally. The tiger roared and clapped its claws. "You can still run." Aunt Bai chuckled. 6 paths of demon seal. 6 heavenly pillars descended and sealed off this space. Dongfang Qi had just torn open half of the space, but it was closed immediately. Aunt Bai said arrogantly, "No one is allowed to leave before the king arrives." Dongfang Qi glared at him. "Is your 100,000 mountains going to let this Wang Han do as he pleases? Do you know how many experts would have to die to overthrow the rule of the great clans?" Aunt Bai said lazily, "I told you to wait for the king. I don't care how many human experts die. In any case, if I say no one is allowed to leave, then no one is allowed to leave." Roar. "That's right, I haven't even fought yet. Whoever wants to leave, fight with this tiger first. Let this tiger flatten you before leaving." The giant rampage bear's voice rang out. "If you flatten him, how is he going to leave?" The rampage bear appeared out of thin air. "Am I too late?" The tiger buzzed, "Nonsense, we've already fought." Little Wang Han shouted, but no one dared to hit him. The rampage bear glanced at Han Fei. "Hey, aren't you just an advanced law enforcer? No one dares to accept the challenge?" Big Crocodile opened his mouth. "After all, he is the king's disciple. How would they dare to fight him?" The rampage bear roared, "Then take the initiative to fight." Aunt Bai looked back at the rampage bear. "Han Fei, shut up." Han Fei looked at the sky. "I'll wait for half an hour. If Master doesn't come, please help me kill these people." Han Fei's words were obviously a bit casual. He knew that the Beast King was here. However, the Beast King didn't come out because he was waiting for someone. As for who? Even a fool would know that it was a human venerable. Aunt Bai frowned. "Little Wang Han, you can't decide this." The sky surveying golden condor said, "Wang Han, after you awakened your spiritual sense, you've become very murderous." Han Fei cupped his hands and smiled. "Don't worry, seniors. Master will know why I'm doing this. They won't object. None of them will. Otherwise, I'll take responsibility for this alone. I can afford it." Han Fei smiled and spoke unhurriedly, as if he had a card up his sleeve. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that he wasn't strong enough, he would have defeated all of them by himself. As for what effect it would have, City of Yu would be a city of justice in the future. In any case, City of Yu would be purged. That was the general trend. Also, what Han Fei was thinking was, did all the big clans die? Or did they all run away? Otherwise, as long as they had venerable realm experts, they couldn't have died. Han Fei's brain was working fast. The Beast King was waiting for the human venerables. If they fought, it would be a real war. Therefore, they probably had to negotiate. Since they had to negotiate, they couldn't destroy these big clans in a short time. Then, he could only get the biggest bargaining chip in the negotiation so that the big clans would have to give him what he wanted. Suddenly, Han Fei said, "Seniors, it's okay if you don't kill them, but help me cripple them and capture them first." Everyone. Shimin Wuqing was dumbfounded. "Damn it, you said you would wait for half an hour? You changed your mind too fast." In less than 5 minutes, Aunt Bai was puzzled. "Little Wang Han, you have to know the importance of your decision." Han Fei nodded. "Beat them first. I've already crippled them and captured them. I know what I'm doing very well. I'll have to trouble you, seniors." Han Fei calmly changed the way he addressed them from seniors to seniors. Once he played the favor card, he would defeat them first. These were all bargaining chip. The Sky Survey Golden Eagle was about to say something, but Ape San took the lead and roared, "Beat them first!" Ho! The tiger couldn't hold back anymore. His body swelled, his mouth spewed light waves, and his giant paw slapped. Roar, the furious giant bear also attacked. They were all ferocious beasts. How could they run so far away without fighting? Following the 3 leaders, Big Crocodile, Old Bull, One-Horned Bull, Ant Bai, and the Sky Survey Golden Eagle all attacked. It couldn't be helped. From the moment they attacked, there was no turning back. Let's fight. Immediately, Shimin Wuqing and the others all changed their expressions. Damn it, are these people from the 100,000 Mountains brainless? Fight as you wish? A group of peak-level explorers listened to a senior law enforcer? Shimin Linglong tugged at Han Fei's sleeve. "Did you cross the line?" Han Fei gave her a comforting smile. "It's okay. We've already fought. Let's take them down first." Jiao Wuxing and the others felt that the blood in their bodies was about to explode. Han Fei was so King handsome. The 3 junior explorers on the human side all shouted, "Wang Han, I want to duel with you." Han Fei picked his ears and said, "CKU. I gave you a chance just now, but no one came. Now you want to fight? Well, you have to ask me if I want to or not." The 3 of them were all stunned. They were just junior explorers. How could those peak-level explorers fight them with a few slaps? Han Fei's eyes flickered. It was not that he was scared, but that he was fighting for time. He had to take them all down before the human venerables arrived. In an instant, the periphery of the storm strait exploded. The world was rumbling, the waves were shocking, and in the void fragments, giant beasts were slapping all over the sky. Shimin Wuqing had just exchanged dozens of blows with the tiger when he was slapped away by a bear paw. The Tiger King roared, "Fool, he's mine." The violent Bear King hummed, "Oh, I didn't pay attention. I hit the wrong person." Dongfang Qi and Old Bull fought hard, but soon, the crocodile glared at them and their feet were quickly petrified and shattered. Sun Qian was the most miserable. She was hit by 2 big eagles. She couldn't catch up with them in terms of speed or physique. Her weapons were no match for their sharp claws. Myriad Feather Xiantian killed him until he was drenched in blood. The one-horned rhinoceros was charging forward. One of Zhao Pai's thighs was smashed off, and his body was blasted into the bottom of the sea like a missile. Han Fei didn't take action. In terms of strength, the 100,000 Mountains had a complete victory. In terms of quantity, the 100,000 Mountains had a complete victory. It was almost 2 against 1. How could it not be a complete victory? However, after 100 seconds, this group of human powerhouses had been bombarded all over, which was too horrible to look at. For example, Shimin Wuqing's stomach was pierced by someone. Maybe he didn't pay attention and made a big hole. Han Fei had already returned to the Avenger with Shimin Linglong. At this time, hundreds of arrays rose. After all, they had to protect their own people first. After another few minutes, a voice suddenly echoed in the air. Okay, stop here. Shimin Linglan, you want revenge. Lier and Shimin Zhan are both dead. Do you want the Shimin family to die? Shimin Linglan's face changed drastically. It's Shimin Tian, the Venerable. Han Fei's face changed slightly, but he said regardless, seniors, keep fighting. Finish the battle quickly and bring them back. Master, help me stop that Venerable. Today, I'm going to take care of them. Nonsense. Shimin Tian's voice echoed again. But Han Fei grinned. I don't care whether you are a Venerable or not. I'm going to take care of these people today. Huh? Boy, do you really know I am here? The Beast King's voice was muffled like thunder. He was a little surprised, but he didn't take it seriously. The Beast King roared, Hey, did you hear what my disciple said? These people are mine. Someone stepped out of the space crack. Beast King, it's not good for the 100,000 mountains to let the juniors do this, right? Thud. The Beast King's big stick was 100 meters high. Standing on the stick, the Beast King laughed. What's wrong with it? The 4 venerables of the 100,000 mountains have never accepted a disciple. It's not easy for us to accept one. What's wrong with messing around? Is it a bother to you? The tiger roared, So, the Beast King has been here all this time. Roar, come here. The tiger bit off Shimin Wuqing's legs and pressed its big claws on Shimin Wuqing's head, almost deforming his head. It let out a muffled roar, looking ferocious. Shimin Tian arrived first, and then another venerable arrived. The two of them watched as the explorers of the big clans were snatched away. There was nothing they could do. Not to mention the fact that both of them were injured at the moment. This time, they came out of seclusion just to save people. Besides, even if they were not injured, the two of them together couldn't defeat the Beast King. This guy killed 2 venerables in a row and was known as a half-king. Who dared to fight with him? Shimin Tian looked at Shimin Linglan again. He had no choice but to look for Shimin Linglan now. Shimin Tian said, Little Linglan, the Shimin family can compensate you. But how are you going to deal with the invasion of the sea race in the future? Shimin Linglan's mind was in a mess. It seemed to have exceeded her expectations. She didn't expect it to be so serious at the beginning. Han Fei sneered. Han Fei sneered. Little Linglan? Who are you? She listens to me now. I'm the one who wants to fight this battle. You should understand the situation first. The Beast King didn't speak. He seemed to be saying, You can deal with the trouble you caused. I'll help you. Shimin Tian looked at him. Wang Han, right? I've basically understood the cause and effect. You can tell me what you want, but so many strong cultivators of your city have died. The human race is in trouble. If you only know how to take revenge, you can kill them today. Han Fei sneered. Don't try to pressure me with righteousness. Just a few people died and the human race is in trouble? Even if you die, the human race will still be fine. Let me tell you, I don't buy it. Jiao Wuxing's people and the strong cultivators of the 100,000 mountains were all looking at Han Fei. Even Tiger and the others were speechless. The venerables are here. Why are you still so arrogant? Just be arrogant for a while. Jiao Wuxing and the others had already begun to swallow crazily. Although Marshal Han was very fierce, to challenge the venerable one in front of him and look so valiant and high-spirited. How daring did he have to be? At this moment, they didn't even dare to send a voice transmission. They all remained silent. After all, they were all big shots. Couldn't they hear what they said? Just that faintly discernible pressure alone was enough to make them suffer. Another venerable said, Then what do you want? Han Fei smiled. You should know what I'm thinking. Our original goal was to overthrow the big clans and let everyone in Yu City be free and share resources. Humph! Shimin Tian snorted. Boy, even if you have the 100,000 mountains as your backer, do you think you can completely suppress Yu City? It's true that the Beast King is strong, but if we really fight, there will be casualties. The Beast King suddenly said, "We can fight. Now you are all seriously injured and haven't recovered. If we really fight, I can call the Divine Sun to kill you. As for the price? I have my own considerations." As soon as the Beast King said this, Han Fei wanted to give him a thumbs up and praise him for being so bold. Han Fei grinned and said, "Did you hear that? If we fight, you will still lose. But, since I am also a human, I will consider the consequences." Han Fei immediately looked at the Beast King and said, "Master, I will call all the people of the big clans who can make decisions here. Can you hold the fort?" The corner of the Beast King's mouth twitched. "How many people do you want to call? However, I am a half-king. How can I not be able to hold the fort?" The Beast King nodded slightly and waved his big hand. "Divine Sun, you should have heard that, right? Call all the people here. Hold the fort." "Okay." The response from the other side was straightforward, and his voice was quite gentle. Han Fei grinned and said, "Okay, Shimen Tian, call more people. You can't represent Yu City. Summon all the leaders and family heads of those big clans that have a say in the matter." The Beast King said, "They're all here. They'll be here soon." Han Fei curled his lips. He knew that those big clans wouldn't admit defeat easily. Now it was time to fight. Besides, the venerables who had come before were also worried that their side was too weak. If they really fought, it was very likely that they would be in danger of dying. Therefore, they didn't stop the other venerables from coming. The more venerables came, the safer they would be. Therefore, of course, they would fool as many as they could. However, a mere 2 hours later, on Han Fei's side, explorers came one after another. There were as many as 100 of them, and Jia Wuxing and the others almost knelt down. In fact, Jia Wuxing and the others were fine. They were used to fighting in the outer sea and were used to being domineering, but EU, who had just arrived, was panicking. She was just an intermediate law enforcer. She had never seen such a scene before. When she came to the Avenger, she didn't expect that the Avenger would be so powerful. In the past, she couldn't even see experts even if she wanted to. They kept popping out left and right until she was numb to them. When the humans came again, there was only one venerable, 12 peak-level explorers, and more than 30 advanced explorers. As for the junior explorers, they were ignored. As soon as they appeared and saw the lineup of the 100,000 mountains, they were a little horrified. Why did the King Avenger cause such a big scene? Was the human race going to fight the 100,000 mountains again after the battle with the Sea Clan? However, soon they understood the cause and effect, and their faces changed as they looked at Han Fei. Han Fei grinned and said, "What? Is everyone here? Is there anyone who hasn't arrived yet?" Shimen Tian said, "Everyone is here. Wang Han, what are your conditions? You can tell me now." Han Fei paced around and tilted his head with a smile. "Okay, listen carefully. First, I want half of the resources of the big clans." Nonsense. Impossible. Wishful thinking. Can you swallow it? Gulp. Even the Beast King twitched the corner of his mouth. This kid is really asking for too much. Even the tigers looked at Han Fei in shock. They thought that Lord Tiger was already crazy enough. They didn't expect that there would be someone even crazier than them. Jia Wuxing and the others almost fell to the deck. They wondered how many resources the big clans would give them if they really gave them half of the resources. Han Fei clicked his tongue and said, "What? You can't even reach an agreement with the first condition?" Shimen Tian's eyes were cold. "We dare to give them to you. Can you swallow these resources?" Han Fei sneered. "I can't, but City of You can. These resources will be used to overthrow the current ruling style of City of You and help human beings grow quickly. Listen to my second condition first, and then you can talk to me." Under the furious gazes of countless people, Han Fei said leisurely, "From today on, City of You will have a city lord. He will control and mobilize these resources. In short, no matter how you use them, they will be better than keeping them in your own treasure house. Impossible! Nonsense. You're just a kid. What do you know? Han Fei suddenly stretched out his hand and scolded, "Shut up, all of you. You, Han Fei pointed at one of them and said, "Even the Venerable didn't say anything. You? Who are you?" The man was a peak-level explorer. How could he tolerate Han Fei pointing at his nose and scolding him? Since it was a negotiation, he wasn't afraid of the Beast King. He snorted coldly. "I'm Zhou Fukong, the leader of the Zhou family of City of Yu. City of Yu is so big, and you want to be the city lord? What do you think this is? Are you playing house?" Han Fei suddenly looked at Zhou Zifu, who was pressed to the ground. "This guy's surname is also Zhou. What a coincidence." Han Fei's snowmorn suddenly appeared, and he disappeared. His strength soared to the highest level, and he only needed to use the Beast King art. At this moment, he slashed Zhou Zifu's neck with the drawing technique. Crack! Facing Zhou Zifu, who had lost the ability to fight, Han Fei's slash could naturally make a big cut on his neck. "Wang Han, what are you doing?" Han Fei suddenly raised his head and grinned hideously. The infinity water appeared in his hand and sank into Zhou Zifu's flesh. As Han Fei stretched out his hand, the array under his feet stomped. Bam! Zhou Zifu was already disabled. Heavily injured, he had just cried out, "Help me," when he exploded. To be precise, he didn't explode. Han Fei had underestimated the physique of an advanced explorer. Most of his body was destroyed and riddled with holes, but he could barely say that he still looked human. However, it was impossible for him to survive. Han Fei waved his hand, and the infinity water gathered. Zhou Fukong roared, "Wang Han, are you negotiating?" Under Zhou Fukong's furious gaze, Han Fei said leisurely, "Next time, be careful when you talk to me, especially when you have a captive in my hands. I've always been amenable to coaxing but not coercion. Now, can you listen to me?" The three human venerables looked at Han Fei and narrowed their eyes. This kid was so cruel. Shiman Linglan looked at Han Fei. This idiot who has recovered his spiritual sense is so domineering. Jia Wuxing and the others swallowed their saliva and cursed under their breath. They were dumbfounded. The furious giant bear scratched his butt. "What's going on? Why did you kill him just like that?" A venerable said, "Wang Han, you've crossed the line." Han Fei said provocatively, "Which family do you represent?" The venerable's pupils constricted. "You want to kill my family?" However, he felt that Han Fei was a lunatic. So, he snorted and didn't speak. Han Fei shrugged and said, "The human race only sent 3 venerables, which means that the current human race is not strong. What can 3 venerables do? Fight the Sea Clan? Bullsh *T. We'll definitely lose. The Battle of the Venerables has just ended, and the human race still has 500 years left. We don't need the 3 of you. I'm already giving you face by asking for half of your resources. If it weren't for the fact that it would involve too much, I really want to destroy you and start all over again. There may not be a few venerables in 500 years, but a group of explorers is inevitable." Han Fei raised his hands high. "Whether it's the 100,000 mountains or the human race. When the nest is overturned, how can there be intact eggs? There are many strong masters in the 100,000 mountains, but the human race has never relied on strong masters to win a war. The human race relies on their tenacity. In order to survive, the world can be united. However, in today's Yu City, the big clans plunder resources, and the ordinary people don't even have a chance to eat the leftovers. Do you want to save the human race or destroy the human race?" "Okay." The Beast King clapped his hands and roared, "Did you see that? My disciple is right." Hearing the Beast King's words, the Tiger King and the others all shouted back. The Tiger King said, "Look, this is the determination of a tiger. You're not inferior to me." Ant Bai said, "You're right. Right now, Yu City is in a mess. The sky survey golden condor. Cough, cough, Han Fei cleared his throat and his face suddenly darkened. So, I'm going to fight for the next 500 years. I'm going to build a brand new U-City. In the next 500 years, whoever tries to stop me will be killed. Second update. Please vote end of this chapter. Chapter 1139. Of course, it was useless for Han Fei to speak passionately on his own. Han Fei knew that the people of the big clans probably wouldn't be subverted. However, he wasn't in a hurry. What he wanted to do today was to win the hearts of the people. With the 100,000 mountains as the background, he forced the human masters to make concessions. As long as he had the resources, he had plenty of ways to bewitch people. Not only that, from this incident, Han Fei seemed to see the future of the 1,000-star city. Yes, it was the same. The big clans controlled the 1,000-star city, and history was repeating itself. The interests of the big clans in the 1,000-star city were chasing the immortal palace. If they wanted to become kings, they had to destroy a place like the 10,000 Demon Valley. A venerable said coldly, "So, you want to use our resources to do favors for the people of the world?" Han Fei immediately retorted, "What do you mean by your resources? If it weren't for the big clan's force, it would be hard to say whose resources it is. If you don't want to, that's fine. From today on, the big clans of U-City shall not interfere with the choices of the humans of U-City or plunder other people's resources. The Avenger will openly appear in the sea area outside U-City and compete fairly with people of the same realm. If you accept this, you can pretend I didn't say anything about the other 2 points." Han Fei's words exuded strong confidence. This confidence shocked many people on the opposite side. Although Han Fei was a lunatic, Han Fei could really kill Zhou Zifu just now. What did this mean? This showed that Han Fei was really strong. Otherwise, even if he had a sea-quelling bizarre treasure, he wouldn't be able to kill an advanced explorer as an advanced law enforcer. After all, the strength of the two was not the same at all. They could imagine that the 2 conditions put forward by Han Fei were actually to buy time for the Avenger. If the powerhouses of the big families couldn't be moved, then the powerhouses below the primary explorer level of the big families wouldn't be able to rise again. They would definitely be blocked. Even if a large number of junior explorers were sent to besiege them, the Avenger's fleet was extraordinary. Besides, once that happened, there would definitely be many people in U-City who supported the Avenger. Even now, there were still many independent cultivators in U-City, and they had been dissatisfied with the big clans for a long time. Therefore, Han Fei's request was actually to drive the big clans to the opposite side of human beings. Seeing that many people were silent, Han Fei smiled and said, "What? You don't dare? In a situation where there are no experts to rule, you aristocratic families don't even have the courage to fight head-on?" A supreme expert said, "Do you have any other conditions?" Hearing this, Han Fei immediately laughed. "Yes. However, there's another way that won't cause you aristocratic families to suffer any losses." The tiger muttered, "You really have a lot of ideas." Han Fei replied, "I learned it from you, Master Hu." Then, regardless of whether the tiger was gloating or not, Han Fei said directly, "There's another option. You can evacuate City of Yu with all your resources and find another place. City of Yu will belong to me. I don't care where you go. In the future, we'll fight for the resources on the sea with our own abilities. If there's anything wrong with your clan, we won't rest until one of us dies." Han Fei was resolute. No matter which option he chose, he was determined to win the hearts of the people of U-City. These aristocratic families had no choice but to give, even if they did not want to. Otherwise, they wouldn't rest until one of them died. Shimen Tian said, "If we don't choose, do you really want to start a war?" Han Fei pointed at Shimen Wuqing and the others and looked at the Tiger King. Master Hu beat them up. Roar! Bam, bam, bam. Wait. Stop. Rumble, the tiger didn't care about those humans. For now, Han Fei was more like a person from the 100,000 Mountains. Although he was a human, his style was too similar to that of the 100,000 Mountains. If you don't like them, kill them. That was the truth. Almost in an instant, there were only 6 captive explorers left. 5 people were directly blown up. They had really fallen, and there was not a single bit of exaggeration. Shimin Tian shouted, "Wang Han." Han Fei said, "Seniors, please wait." Stopping in front of all the beasts, Han Fei tilted his head and looked at Shimin Tian and the others. "There are only 3 choices. Either you give me half of the resources, and I get the city lord. Or you compete fairly, and the big clans hide and don't plunder the humans of city of you. Or you leave with all the resources and I get the city of you. I give you the choice. How you choose is up to you. If you don't choose, I will fight. At worst, I will overthrow your big clans and start all over again. Either way, I will die. I bet in the next 500 years. Seeing the group of human overlords trembling with anger, Han Fei said leisurely, "If I were you, I might choose the second option. You don't have to give me resources, and you don't have to leave city of you. You can go to the sea. How great is that?" However, the 3 human venerables looked cold and thought, Wang Han is really ambitious. However, the 3 human martial sovereigns wore cold expressions as they thought to themselves, Wang Han is indeed a wolf with wild ambitions. However, the 3 human venerables looked cold and thought, Wang Han is really ambitious. But the second option is that once the big clans hide, the control of city of you will be taken away and their freedom will be restricted. However, the second condition was that once the great clans retreated, the control of the city of you would be taken away and their freedom would be restricted as well. If this goes on, the big clans will only exist in name. In the long run, the big clans will only exist in name. As for the war? To be honest, if it was just a beast king, they actually had a way to deal with it. The big clans had a deep foundation and many means. However, there was an even more terrifying existence in the 100,000 Mountains. It was the divine sun. That rarely appeared but extremely powerful existence could be said to be the strongest person under the king level. Given that the human venerable ones were injured, being able to stop a beast king was already the best they could do. If the divine sun really attacked, they wouldn't be able to stop him. A venerable said, "We need to discuss for a moment." They had no choice but to discuss this matter. Han Fei was too violent and would kill an explorer at the slightest disagreement. There were 12 captives just now, but in the blink of an eye, only 6 were left, just because 2 of them said they couldn't accept it. If they tentatively said that they couldn't accept it, the remaining few would probably die in the next moment. Of course, they could also agree first and then regret it later. However, did Han Fei dare to kill them? Just as this thought flashed through their minds, Han Fei tilted his head and looked at the Beast King. "Master, if I die one day, it must be a scheme of the big clans. At that time, please avenge me, Master." The Beast King's eyes flickered slightly. "Okay. I know you are my disciple. You have been wandering in the outer sea for many years and never died. If I perish in human territory, this king will kill them one by one." Han Fei chuckled. "Thank you very much, Master." Hearing this, all the human powerhouses felt as if thousands of fish were galloping in their hearts. F***CK. You still want to blame it on us if you die? However, they also knew that now that the relationship between them had become so stiff, if he didn't blame it on them, where else could he blame it? But Han Fei thought differently. In fact, he didn't have 500 years at all. He had to find a way back. No matter what, this was the Age of Doom, not his world. So, he could do whatever he wanted. Besides, Han Fei also knew the situation in the future, so he didn't panic at all. Although Han Fei didn't know how Shimin Linglan would survive these years, it should be very difficult. After all, he would be enemies with these big clans. But in any case, Shimin Linglan would be very strong in the future. She would rule the city of justice alone and be loved by the whole city. This was clear. The thousand-star city and the scattered stars island still needed him, and he had to rush back for the battle of the scattered stars island in 7 years. God knew how long he had been in the river of time. How about the Thug Academy today? How about the scattered stars island? Han Fei didn't know anything. This was what Han Fei was most worried about. However, so many years had passed in the river of time, and Han Fei didn't care about the next few years. At least, he had to find a way to settle a new situation. Only in this way could he find a way to leave with peace of mind. That was all Han Fei could do for them. In the future, Han Fei didn't know how to take the road of the City of Justice. He only knew one result. He still couldn't infer the development of the City of Justice in the past countless years based on this result. In the void, there was a buzzing vibration. After a long time, a venerable said, "Okay. Now the human race is weak, and the 100,000 mountains are indeed stronger. Let's see what will happen after you take over the City of Justice. Let's choose the third one. The big clans will retreat from you city, but the 3,000 salt marsh in the north will belong to us. In the future, the resources in the sea will depend on our own means." Han Fei tilted his head and looked at Shimen Linglan. "Where is the 3,000 salt marsh?" Shimen Linglan gulped. She couldn't believe that it was done just like that. She thought it would be a fierce battle. Hearing Han Fei's question, she quickly said, "It's a large grassland salt lake on the north coast. However, it's barren. It's about 20,000 kilometers away from U City." Hearing that, Han Fei grinned. "Okay. That's it. The big clans of U City will move out of U City in 3 days. My Avenger will take over U City in 3 days." As soon as he said this, there was a gasp behind Han Fei. Jia Wuxing and the others couldn't believe it. Damn it, it's done? It seemed that they couldn't take revenge for some people for the time being. However, there was nothing they could do about it. What they were facing now was the entire big clan of U City. They had never dared to think that they could force the other party to this extent. As for Tiger and the others, they were not interested in humans' tricks. They felt that it was like fighting for their own territory. If they lost, they would have to change their territory, right? It was a matter of course. Han Fei had a rough idea what these people were planning. They would retreat temporarily, recover from their injuries, and cultivate strong masters. The big clans had a long history. If they could hold back for a while, they might be able to take back U City in the future. This was why they would rather move away than hand over the resources. After all, these resources had been accumulated over a long period of time. They would rather give up hundreds of millions of people than give up the precious resources they had accumulated. In fact, they didn't understand the principle of man can conquer nature. In the past, the people of U City were at the bottom of society. They were the ones who were exploited. If these people became masters, would they still want to go back to the past? Since they didn't want to go back, they would suppress them by force. This was Han Fei's real plan. After all, Han Fei knew that people's hearts were everything. At this moment, Han Fei didn't panic at all. How could I let you succeed? Then I lose. This is just the first confrontation. In the next confrontation, if I don't squeeze you dry, I will write my name backwards. Shimen Wutian said with a straight face. Now, can you let them go? Let them go? Han Fei sneered. What does this have to do with letting them go? I caught them with my own ability. How can I let them go just like that? Han Fei didn't have the habit of letting people go at all. How could he let them go so easily? Then why did he rob them before? The Beast King couldn't help scratching his butt, thinking, what else does this kid want to do? He has already won a great victory this time. Does he still want to kill them in this situation? A venerable said coldly, Wang Han, what else do you want? Han Fei grinned. What else do I want? These people have been chasing my Avenger for a long time. My Avenger was destroyed. This is my 18 years of hard work. How can I let it go? You owe me 10 big ships and haven't paid them back yet. How can I let them go? Shimin Wuching snorted coldly. The big ships will be delivered to you in a few days. Han Fei continued. The crew of my Avenger were all persecuted by the big clans. Now that the negotiation has been completed, they can't take revenge anymore. 10 big ships are not enough. You have to pay more. Jiao Wuxing and the others thought, actually, we are already very satisfied. We can't fight with the big clans because of us. What if they fight with each other again? However, Shimin Linglan was a little surprised. She felt that Han Fei's previous words were all empty words. In the end, the words, you have to pay more, were true. A venerable said, Wang Han, what do you mean? Your city is already yours. Don't you think it's enough? Han Fei quickly waved his hand. Stop. They are two different things and can't be confused. These people's hands are stained with blood. If I don't make you bleed, you will never know what pain is. If you want people, you can give me money. How much money does it cost to train an explorer? I only want the ones I can see. These people are all advanced explorers at the very least. On average, each of them is worth 1,000,000 caddies of spiritual spring, 1,000,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid, 10 heaven-level combat skills, 1,000 ultra-quality spiritual weapons, 1 low-quality divine weapon, 1 ultra-quality divine weapon, 10,000 energy fruits and spiritual weapon fruits each. Seeing Han Fei counting with his fingers as if he were counting his family treasures, Tiger next to him almost couldn't bear it anymore and couldn't help but bare his teeth. Tiger thought to himself, what if someone dares to ask me for things like this? I'll definitely slap him to death. Behind him, Jiao Wuxing and the others swallowed crazily. The awakened General Han seems to be a bit ruthless. This thing seemed to be much, much richer than robbing a big ship. Shimin Linglan felt that her head was about to explode. Where is the domineering idiot just now? At this moment, the style seems to be a bit wrong. Enough! Someone shouted, Wang Han, are you robbing us? Han Fei raised his head in a daze. Huh? Do you think an advanced explorer is not worth this? Or do you think a peak-level explorer is not worth this? You have to know that these people hate me. How much will my conscience hurt if I let them go? You don't even want to give me more money, and you want to take them away? What? Do you think I'm joking? As he spoke, Han Fei raised Snowmorn and was about to cut them. Wait a minute. Don't move. What's the hurry? Han Fei stopped and looked at them expressionlessly, pointing his sword at Zhao Pai who was closest to him. What do you say? Are you going to give me the money or not? Zhao Pai was sweating hard. He had already sent a voice transmission to his family, son of AB*TCH. This guy really dared to attack us. Just now, Zhou Zifu, his neighbor, was killed because he was questioned by Han Fei. Is there anything this guy can't do? Some venerables were so angry that their lips were trembling, but someone held back his anger. Okay, you can have these resources. But Wang Han, I don't have any more. Han Fei smiled casually. That's right. I don't have anything else to ask for. But, for a moment, everybody looked at Han Fei. You have a but? Enlightened, Han Fei looked at Shimin Tian. But the Shimin family's resources will be counted separately. Shimin Tian frowned. What do you mean? Han Fei's eyes were cold. Shimin Linglan is the captain of the Avenger. The Shimin family is my sworn enemy. I can let go of other families, but I can't let go of Shimin Wuching. Shimin Wuching had almost been stomped to death, and his eyes were bulging. Fearing that Han Fei would really kill him, he roared, Wang Han, are you forcing me to fight? Han Fei chuckled. Shut up. It's not up to you to decide whether or not to fight. You're the only exception. Why would I force you to fight? Shimin Linglan pulled Han Fei's waist. Idiot, actually, Han Fei glanced at Shimin Linglan. Listen to me. Then, Han Fei looked at Shimin Tian. This is a sworn enemy. You have to give me more money. Everyone. Shimin Linglan. The Beast King. But Han Fei said calmly, twice. Han Fei looked straight at Shimen Tian, not avoiding his gaze. After all, he was a venerable. To prevent this guy from doing anything out of line, he had to give him twice the amount. As for the future, let's talk about it later. Shimen Tian's eyes flickered, and in the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, no more." Han Fei was speechless. Shimen Tian agreed so readily? It seemed that he had said too little just now. If he had known, he would have asked for more. However, forget it. There was still a long way to go. Han Fei didn't panic at all. He had to get the real benefits first. Han Fei said lightly, "You can go back now. Give me the money and I'll give you the goods." Shimen Wuqing and the others didn't feel good. "Are we going to become goods?" A venerable said. "Wang Han, do you still doubt the credibility of a venerable?" Han Fei curled his lips. "Your big family has never been credible. I won't let you go without seeing the money and the ship." Humph! The venerable flew away, not wanting to say another word to Han Fei. Soon after, these people left quickly with a swish, swish, swish. It seemed that they didn't want to stay in this damn place at all. Or rather, they didn't want to see Han Fei's face for one more second. When all the strong masters on the human side left, the tiger slapped Han Fei, causing him to stagger. "Boy, you're really something. How did you manage to snatch it?" The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. "Master Tiger, my bones are scattered." Before Han Fei could greet the others, the Beast King growled, "Disciple, come with me." As the Beast King waved his hand, Han Fei appeared on the surface of the sea, far away from the Avenger. Han Fei scratched his head. "Master." The Beast King looked at Han Fei. "Tell me, what do you remember? Do you remember that thing?" Han Fei's face became slightly serious. "I don't remember. Or rather, it was not that I didn't think about it, it seemed to be on the tip of my tongue. But I can't say it. It seems that there are rules restricting me from saying it." Han Fei had expected this. There should be something wrong with him crossing the river of time this time. Although he could recall things that happened a long time ago, he couldn't remember the key things, such as the floating stone, his understanding of the divine palace, the soul sea, and the final situation of the various races. The Beast King frowned. "Sure enough, this is the reason. You are not a person of this life. Although you cross the river of time through a strange method, you can't change the situation of this life. You can only push the boat with the current." Han Fei wondered, "What's the reason?" "I'm already here." The Beast King shook his head. "You don't understand. Even if you are a king, even if you really have a way to cross the river of time, you can't even speak or interfere with the changes of time. That is the suppression of the supreme way of heaven. Since you can appear here and can fight and talk, it can only be said that there is something wrong with the river of time. In a sense, it lacks the influence of the supreme way." Han Fei frowned, feeling that he knew something. However, he couldn't remember much in this regard. As far as his current memory was concerned, he had already remembered all his normal memories. What he couldn't remember were those things that involved secrets. It seemed that it was indeed as the Beast King said. The Beast King looked at Han Fei. "Do you remember anything about the beasts in your memory?" Han Fei thought for a moment. "In the places where I normally live, I have never seen the beast. However, I once met a lot of beasts, demonic plant clan, and sky clan in a secret realm, a place that belonged to the ancient battlefield." The Beast King narrowed his eyes keenly. "No war giants?" Han Fei shook his head slightly. "No. Maybe I haven't been to many places. I need to become stronger." The Beast King hummed slightly. The beasts could only appear in some secret realms. This showed that the final result was not good. However, since there were still beasts, it meant that they hadn't been wiped out yet. The Beast King asked, "Do you remember the answer you came back to find?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes, but there are some things I don't understand. Master, you said that an oracle made the Sea Clan and the other races fight for tens of thousands of years?" The Beast King roared. You don't understand. Who doesn't want to rule the other races and master the Great Way? That's all we know. As for what the oracle was like, what did it say specifically? Are there any secrets behind it? It's not something that we can know. By the way, do you have a path to becoming a king? Could he become a king? The Beast King and the others couldn't see these things clearly. They said that he had the potential to become a king, but it was just a matter of posture. As for whether he could really become a king or not, they didn't know and couldn't see it. Han Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Master, what do you want me to say? I don't know the path yet, but many people say that I may become a king. I think so too. Han Fei was not narcissistic. The source of his confidence was not old Han, nor was it the mother of the master of the immortal palace, but the demon purification pot. Of course, he also knew that the problem he was facing was also very big. Here, he could use the 100,000 mountains to suppress the big clans. However, once he returned to the 1,000-star city, he really had to do it himself. The Beast King nodded. By the way, you need to be careful on your path to invincibility. This road is full of thorns and bumps, and those who don't have great luck can't bear it. As far as I know, no one who embarks on the road to invincibility has a good ending. Han Fei didn't know what to say. What do you mean? It's said that the road to invincibility is not easy, but I've already walked on it. The Beast King comforted him. However, not necessarily. After all, I've seen very few invincibility roads. Maybe some people have succeeded. You can even cross the river of time, which shows that you have great luck. Han Fei smiled bitterly. Is this comfort? The third chapter. In 2 days, the story here will be over. The story should be told bit by bit and logically, not just randomly written. Besides, some people are calling for more time. Doesn't his conscience hurt? Since I've written this plot, let me finish it. It's almost time. There's basically nothing to do in this secret realm. Tomorrow I'll continue the 2-in-1. End of this chapter. Chapter 1140. In fact, Han Fei didn't have much to say. For the 100,000 mountains and human beings, what they needed was time, strong masters, and a way to resist the Sea Clan. There were too many Sea Clan creatures and resources, so the speed of the birth of strong masters was obviously faster than that of human beings. In the Battle of Venerables, a large number of Venerables of the Sea Clan died. However, this could only bring about 500 years of peace. If there was a next time, it would be a greater challenge. When Han Fei returned to the Avenger, he found that the masters of the 4 clans had left, leaving only Shimin Linglan sitting on the top of the ship with her chin in her hands. The others were talking about what had happened just now in an exaggerated way. That scene almost scared them to the point of peeing their pants. At this moment, these people were expressing their surging emotions. Someone said, Motherf *Ker, I never dreamed that I would one day be able to take over you city. Someone was still confused. Did we win just like that? Jiao Wuxing's head was buzzing. The big clans surrendered? Did they just surrender? No, am I hallucinating? I have to take a nap. Yes, take a nap. Han Fei appeared with a swoosh and grabbed Jiao Wuxing. What are you sleeping for? Get ready to accept the spoils of war. Seeing Han Fei come back, everyone froze and looked at him in a daze. However, Han Fei was looking at Shimin Linglan. He stepped on the ground lightly and sat next to Shimin Linglan. They were still looking up. As a girl, EU immediately said, Stop looking. Go to that big ship. EU said, General Han and the captain must have a lot to say. Oh, yes, go to the big ship and pack up. After everyone left, Han Fei thought for a long time but didn't know what to say. What should I say? Say that my name is Han Fei and I come from the other side of the river of time? Helplessly, looking at the noisy Jiao Wuxing and the others, Han Fei muttered, A bunch of idiots. Shimin Linglan tilted her head and looked at him, thinking, You've been an idiot for almost 30 years. How dare you criticize others now? Shimin Linglan took a breath, straightened her body, and faced Han Fei. So, are you still Wang Han? Han Fei nodded. Yes. Han Fei could clearly feel that Shimin Linglan's tense body had relaxed. The latter heaved a sigh of relief and said, Do you remember what happened in the past? Han Fei nodded slightly. I do. Shimin Linglan blushed. Han Fei looked at her strangely and thought, Why are you blushing? At that time I was a pure fool. Shimin Linglan's eyelashes were trembling. Then what is in your memory? Who was Xia Xiaochan? You shout the most. Where was Tang Go? Zhang Xuanyu, Luo Xiaobai, Lurenquang, Old Han, Old Jiang. Han Fei was stunned. Is this what you want to know most? Han Fei played dumb. What? Who? Shimin Linglan looked at Han Fei leisurely and thought to herself, Keep pretending. Han Fei changed the topic. Let me tell you, we have a greater goal now, which is to completely crush the big clans. Otherwise, they will definitely make a comeback. Shimin Linglan was stunned for a moment. Aren't they gone now? Han Fei sneered. That's just a temporary stalling tactic. The Venerable is injured, and we are stronger now. So, they are just making concessions for the time being. When dealing with the enemy, we have to torture them until they can't make a comeback anymore. I have thought of a few plans. Let me tell you. Shimin Linglan listened to Han Fei and was silent for a long time. Suddenly, she said, I still think it's better when you are a fool. Han Fei. 3 days later. The city of Yu was in an uproar. Every day, countless people wandered inside and outside Yu City. One after another, many big clans moved away. No one knew why. Some people even took away their houses and land. Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't know what was going on at all. Someone said, Are these big clans crazy? Is the Sea clan attacking again? They are unstoppable this time. Are they going to run? Someone wondered, the point is, where can they go? If the lips are gone, the teeth will be cold. Do they want to cross the sea and run to Blackstone City? Someone sneered. Blackstone City? Yu City was attacked. How can Blackstone City be fine? They must have been beaten too. Someone was puzzled. Wait, didn't the big clans go to destroy the Avenger a few days ago? Could it be that they were chased away by the Vengeance? Someone rolled his eyes. How is that possible? No matter how strong the Avenger is, it is just a ship. Unless there is a king on it, how can so many big clans move away from Yu City? Besides, if there is a king, how can those big clans run away? Suddenly, someone ran in from outside the city, shouting as he ran, They're here, they're here! Someone cursed, Are you crazy? Who is coming? Son of AB****, the Sea clan is coming? Before they panicked, that person roared, The Avenger is coming, the Avenger is coming, what? Who is coming? The Avenger? Hiss. Son of AB****, the big clans are gone, and the Avenger is coming. This, someone heard the news in shock. Yu City is going to change. On the sea, a black ship thousands of meters long was breaking through the wave. This ship had a strange shape. The black sails were inlaid with gold and were full of arrays. The stern was in the shape of an octopus, and the octopus claws were clasped on the hull. The bow of the ship was like a vertical steel knife, and the lower part of the blade was a shark with its mouth wide open, which was domineering and arrogant. When he modified this ship, Han Fei knew why the Avenger was like this. These 3 ships were modified according to the remains of the Venerables they picked up in the sea over the years. As for black, wasn't that the usual color of pirates? Because of the requirements of arrays, Han Fei wanted to make this ship a unique Avenger. Therefore, he didn't use the pirate map. However, at the top of the mast, he put a pirate flag. Therefore, when he was on the Avenger, he didn't see the pirate flag. It must have been taken down. Otherwise, when he saw the pirate flag, he would have doubted his life. At this moment, Han Fei was modifying the arrays. He was afraid of Shimin Linglan. Recently, Shimin Linglan made a fuss about giving birth to a child. Are you kidding me? I'm going to give birth to a child now. My child is already cold, and I'm still in the future. It doesn't make sense. Besides, Han Fei suspected that this was almost impossible. How could the Great Tao ignore it? Because he was not a person of this time, and he would die eventually, so it was impossible for him to give birth to a child. What if he gave birth to an ancestor? He was thinking, if this is a reincarnation, I shouldn't have woken up in advance. In other words, waking up in advance actually meant that he was gradually getting out of this time. Han Fei knew that his memory was still a little weak. What if these memories were restored? Based on the current situation, the injury to his divine soul had basically recovered. If he fully recovered, would he remember those things that he shouldn't remember? The Beast King said it was the influence of the Great Tao. Then, once he was fully awake, what would the Great Tao do? Therefore, at this moment, Han Fei didn't devote his energy to love. He had to rebuild the Avenger as soon as possible. Seeing that they were about to reach Yu City, Shimin Linglan shouted, "Idiot, it's time to eat." Han Fei's body shivered. "Oh my, it's almost ready. You guys eat first." With a flash, Shimin Linglan appeared next to Han Fei and waited patiently. Han Fei immediately shrugged. "Let's eat." Shimin Linglan sneered. "When you were an idiot, you were much more arrogant than you are now. You're a man, and you're so shy when eating." Han Fei immediately said angrily, "I'm just concentrating on my work and planning for the next 10,000 years." Shimin Linglan snorted. "We're about to reach Yu City. What are you going to do after taking over Yu City?" Han Fei smiled slightly. "People need freedom, but we can't tell them directly. We have to stand on the side of justice and tell them that they are the masters of this city, the future of mankind, and freedom. Since they are the masters, they won't allow their home to be destroyed, even if the big clans make a comeback in the future. However, they have the habit of freedom in their bones. Even if they are suppressed for a while, they will always want to resist. This is the will of the people." Shimin Linglan tilted her head and looked at Han Fei. "I always feel that there are countless things hidden in your head." Han Fei chuckled. "I've basically told you all the things in my head. In the future, my mission is to build a fleet of Avenger, the kind that can dominate the sea." Shimin Linglan was surprised. "You're not going to do anything even if you take over Yu City?" Han Fei grinned. "Managing people is not something that one person can do alone. Wait. You'll know when we reach Yu City." Shimin Linglan scoffed. "Ever since you became not an idiot, I feel that you are full of evil thoughts." Han Fei, there were many ports in Yu City. Among them, there were 8 of the largest ports, and the rest were no less than 100 large and small ports. Otherwise, there would be no place for so many big ships. Of course, there were also many small cities and towns around Yu City. The entire Lin Hai City covered an area of more than 8,000 square kilometers. Together with the countless villages and towns nearby, it was extremely vast. The place where the Avenger appeared was more than 500 kilometers away from the port of Yu City, which was a place that ships had to pass. However, because there were very few big ships going out these days, there were many small and medium-sized ships going out. As a matter of fact, when the countless small and medium-sized ships saw that the vengeance was coming, they all turned around and went back to where they were. Even if there were some who were brave, the rumors from a few days ago were, after all, just rumors. People had no confidence in their hearts. After all, the Avenger gave them the feeling that it was extremely powerful. The aristocratic families had already started to flee, and then the vengeance had appeared. This was a clue. Therefore, many small ships stopped 100 kilometers away from the Avenger, wanting to see what the Avenger was going to do. These people were looking forward to it, but also worried. They were looking forward to whether the Avenger would give them freedom, as the rumors said. Sharing the resources of the sea. They were worried that the Avenger would do the same thing as the big families. After all, countless people were used to this kind of environment. In fact, the big families thought so too. They didn't expect that Han Fei would bring freedom to U City at all. They thought that Han Fei just wanted to dominate the city. Therefore, they naturally felt that they had a chance to make a comeback. On a certain boat, several middle-aged men were whispering. Someone said, "Do you think they are really here to help us? However, the big families don't seem to bully us too much except collecting some resource taxes from us, do they?" Someone sneered. "You little fishhead, don't bully us? Don't you know how weak we are? Do you think we can get good things with our strength? Look at those hidden fishers and law enforcers. As soon as they get good things, they go to the big families to exchange for them. Do you know how many people have been exploited on that floor?" Someone said, "Yes, you are a fishhead. They are everywhere in the relatively safe and resource-rich areas near the sea. These days they haven't gone to sea. Do you see how many people have gone to grab resources?" Just as they were whispering to each other, a voice echoed through the air. "Everyone, from today onwards, the Vengeance, will take over U City. We come from darkness, but we will bring light. If you don't mind, please inform your relatives and friends in the major villages. At this time tomorrow, the Avenger will land in U City and announce the liberation of U City. From today on, U City will be open to everyone. Anyone can enter U City, and no one is allowed to stop them." Hum. At that moment, everyone within 1,000 miles was shocked to the extreme. What? U City is going to be liberated? Liberate what? The Avenger is going to land in U City. Someone exclaimed, "Oh my God, the Avenger said that everyone in U City can become a free person? Is it King true?" Someone clutched his head and paced back and forth. The Avenger won. Yes, they must have won in the Storm Strait. Oh my God, there must be a venerable on the Avenger. Someone shouted, "Brothers, don't just stand there. Let's go back and spread the news to the major villages and towns." While steering the boat, someone said, "Will the Avenger really help us?" Someone shouted, "What do you mean help us? They've already helped us. Didn't you see that the big families have moved away?" On this side, people were scrambling to leave. On the Avenger, Han Fei was eating hot pot. After all, he had looted countless good things, so it shouldn't be a problem for him to make some spiritual fruits and make hot pot. At this moment, 4 big pots were placed on the boat, and a group of people were eating around the hot pot. Someone said, "General Han, are we going to take over U City? We don't have enough manpower." Someone kicked him. "What do you know? We've already taken over U City. We can have as many people as we want." Slurp. Someone sucked a mouthful of fish meat and said in a low voice, "How? General Han must have an idea. Don't worry about it." Jiao Wuxing patted the man's head. "You talk too much." Turning his head, Jiao Wuxing chuckled. "General Han, what should we do with such a big city?" Han Fei sneered. "Eat your hot pot. You won't understand even if I tell you. Anyway, I won't let you do it." Jiao Wuxing smiled awkwardly. "I just want to share the burden with you and the captain." Shimin Linglan echoed, "I don't understand either. Managing a city is something we've never done before." Munch. Han Fei stuffed fish meat into his mouth, thinking, how can I manage a city? When a person stands at a certain height, he will find a way even if he has no other choice. As long as the principle is the same, it's fine. Han Fei suddenly felt that he seemed to have a headache. It was a very slight, dull pain. This was definitely not a good sign. As a cultivator, how could he have a headache? Shimin Linglan looked at Han Fei. "What are you thinking about?" Han Fei shook his head and continued to stuff fish into his mouth. "Nothing. I'm just thinking about the follow-up arrangements of U City." Shimin Linglan nodded. "I trust you." Han Fei smiled bitterly in his heart. "I don't even trust myself. You didn't manage it, but I did. The reason why I asked the big families for help was that I had to get it. If I don't come, how can you be the city lord?" The next day, All the major ports of U City were full of people. They had begun to believe it, because all the houses of the big families in the city were empty and their shops were closed. Of course, there must be a lot of people from the big families in the crowd. However, these people were just here to inquire about the situation in U City. They couldn't make a big fuss. Under everyone's expectant gaze in the morning mist, the shadow of a big ship slowly emerged. Then, a dozen big black ships followed the Avenger and slowly appeared in everyone's sight. Han Fei stood proudly at the bow of the ship and said in a booming voice, "Fellow human beings, gather in the city. Oh, they're here. The hope of U City is here. Welcome, Avenger. I've been waiting here last night. Let's go to the city. Let's go together." Seeing countless people marching to the city gate, Han Fei couldn't help but shout, "From today on, flying in U City is free. Anyone can fly in the sky as long as you don't destroy the city." Oh! All hail the Avenger! Swish! 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 Figures flew in the sky one after another. Although these people didn't have wings, hidden fishers could stay in the air for a short time, so it was not a big deal. Those who couldn't fly, Han Fei saw many hanging fishers climbing the city wall. Some manipulators even set up spiritual plant ladders so that people could step over the city wall. After all, the gate here had been blocked. Han Fei glanced at Jiao Wuxing and the others. "Leave the ship here. Let's go into the city." This was the first time Han Fei had entered U City. Even though he had been in this world for almost 40 years, he had always heard about U City. He estimated that it should be similar to the Thousand-Star City. Behind him, Jiao Wuxing shouted, "Have you all tidied up your hair? Dress neatly. Don't embarrass General Han and the captain. As for your beard, you should trim it a little." Someone swallowed. "Old Jia, aren't you nervous?" "Damn, my heart is almost jumping out of my chest." Someone echoed, "I'm so nervous that my legs are shaking." The scale of this event was way too big. So many people are watching us. Yu was also nervous, but she comforted the others. "Don't worry. Generally speaking, the strong are in the big clans. Although there are also strong ordinary people, they can only reach the realm of peak-level law enforcers at most. There are very few explorers. You are all very strong." Jiao Wuxing also took a deep breath. Looking at Han Fei and Shimen Linglan, who had already left in the air, he immediately encouraged them, "Let's go. Damn it, they're coming at us in the wind and waves. Now that we're back in the city, why should we be afraid of them?" In the sky, Shimen Linglan said via voice transmission, "Idiot, I'm also nervous." Han Fei said leisurely, "Don't panic. It's just a small matter." Han Fei said to Jiao Wuxing and the others, "Just pretend that those people watching us are all fish heads. Yes, just pretend that they are all fish heads." Someone muttered, "How many fish heads are there?" Jiao Wuxing slapped him. "You talk too much. Just pretend that you are looking at fish head. Cut the crap." Han Fei and the others didn't walk fast in the air. When they walked above the city wall, many law enforcers and hidden fishers were waiting here, following Han Fei's footstep. In the city, the crowd was crowded, and many people were looking at the sky. A child took an old man's hand and squeezed into the crowd. "Grandpa, is this U City? There are so many people." The old man sighed. "Alas. Yes, this is U City. There are so many people in the main city. Grandpa has never been here before. Let's take a good look this time." A girl pointed to the sky and said, "Dad, that woman is so magnificent." The old man was also fascinated. "Our daughter will be so magnificent in the future. Maybe she can fly in the sky and dive into the sea. She's omnipotent." Many people were amazed. Many of them came from the villages and towns. Such a scene was rarely seen in a million years. Wouldn't it be a loss if they didn't take a look? Different from those people who were watching the fun, Han Fei scanned more than 600 kilometers as soon as he entered the city, but he didn't find the sea god statue. Huh. It's not here. Why isn't it here? Han Fei immediately frowned. The City of Justice he had seen had the sea god statue, but it wasn't here. Could it be that the Immortal Palace didn't appear at this time? No, it must have appeared not far after this timeline. Before the City of Justice was destroyed, the Immortal Palace must have appeared. The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up slightly. Since the sea god statue was not here, it was a good thing. This meant that in the future, Shimin Linglan was not the only one working hard. There were still many people working hard in places that no one knew about. As for why the City of Justice was destroyed, there might be many reasons. Maybe my mother and the others are fighting somewhere? After all, the 36 immortal palaces were a huge territory that they had to conquer. They couldn't fall from the sky. Chapter 1141. In fact, Han Fei should have thought of this. If the City of Justice was the last territory of human beings, then the Thousand-Star City would be useless. Humans had long been extinct. Calming himself down, Han Fei said to Shimin Linglan, "Let me tell you." Shimin Linglan nodded. "You do it." "I don't know how." Han Fei asked, "You've stayed in City of You. Where is the central area of this city?" Shimin Linglan thought for a moment. "The Star Towers, a few very tall towers. They are the places where the big families in City of You sell and exchange resources." Han Fei smiled. "Then let's go there." Han Fei's voice was loud. "My compatriots, we will wait for you in the Star Towers. Come on, let's go to the Star Towers. Hurry up and grab a spot. Bro, wait for me." A moment later, Han Fei and the others arrived at the Star Towers, which were already crowded. Someone occupied the best geographical position and said with a smile, "Those who go to the city are idiots. City of You has a large population. The Avenger has defeated the big families and taken over City of You. They must announce a series of big events. Is there a better place than the Star Towers?" When Han Fei saw the so-called Star Towers, he found that they were cylindrical, more than 300 meters high and more than 100 meters wide. There were 3 of them, standing in a triangle. "They're here. They're here." Someone was shouting. There were all kinds of shouts. Some were even shouting for the savior of the world. Han Fei said, "Linglan, old Jia, destroy these 3 towers for me." Jia Wuxing said in surprise, "Wait. General Han, didn't you just say not to destroy the buildings and facilities in the city?" Han Fei said, "Just destroy it. Don't talk so much nonsense." Han Fei shouted, "Everyone, leave the Star Towers and stay a kilometer away." When the crowd began to retreat, Han Fei shouted in a low voice, "Do it. Destroy them." Suddenly, under the gaze of countless people, Han Fei, Shimin Linglan, and a fierce man flew to the 3 Star Towers. Among them, Han Fei was the most aggressive. A large hammer immediately appeared in his hand, transforming into a shocking hammer shadow. Just like that, dang, dang, dang. He struck it a few times in succession, and the Star Pagoda immediately collapsed, causing dust and smoke to fly everywhere. Shimin Linglan wielded her twin sabers and swiftly flew past the Star Tower. When he took a closer look, he saw that the entire building was covered in sword marks. Following that, pieces of the building fell to the ground. Jia Wuxing punched out to show the power of an explorer. Descending from the sky, he punched through the Star Pagoda. In the exclamations of countless people, Han Fei shouted, "Fellow human beings, don't panic. The Star Pagoda is a place where the aristocratic families can exchange for resources." Now that the Star Pagoda had been destroyed, it meant that the era of the aristocratic families had passed. A brand new era has arrived. "All right. That's good." Someone raised his arms and shouted. His roar rumbled, and hundreds responded to his call. The sound waves rose and fell. "To vent my hatred. I should have destroyed this place long ago. It's a pity that everything inside has been taken away. In any case, it's good that there aren't any great clans." Han Fei quickly landed. The law of gravity covered 100 meters and crushed it with great force. These were all ordinary buildings, not spiritual weapons. In an instant, the rubble was crushed to the ground by Han Fei. Then, Han Fei casually threw a big stick to the ground. With a thought from Han Fei, the rod rose quickly and didn't stop until it reached 100 meters high. It had become a giant pillar that reached the sky. Standing on the top of the giant pillar, Han Fei shouted in a low voice, "Don't panic. Let's wait for a moment until everyone arrives." Shimin Linglan said to him telepathically, "Should we wait? Those people's gazes are so hot." Han Fei replied calmly, "This is called creating a sense of expectation. It's a good time to gather people's hearts." Looking at the people who were whispering or talking telepathically, Han Fei smiled. There were really a lot of people. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a sea of people. In any case, the surrounding buildings were all filled with people. There were also law enforcers flying in the sky, waiting quietly. Seeing these people, Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. If he became a king in the future, it would be quite cool to have so many people watching him. After about half an hour or so, those who were supposed to come had all arrived. Those who couldn't squeeze in could only listen from the periphery. However, after this speech, everyone in and out of U City would know the content. 2 sledgehammers appeared in Han Fei's hands and he hit them with a clang. Han Fei said, "Quiet." When the discussion gradually subsided, Han Fei put away the sledgehammers and pulled Shimin Linglan, who was a little nervous, to the side. Han Fei's voice resounded through the clear sky like thunder. "Everyone, I think you must have heard the rumors about the Avenger. Yes, we, like countless people, were forced to leave our homes by the big clans. We know the oppression of the big clans on human beings. They occupy resources and exploit people. Their crimes are too numerous to list. So, we came back, with dreams and hope, to take revenge on them. Luckily, we won. Hoo! Good job. The Avenger is invincible." In the sky, the 3 venerables were livid. As soon as the big clans left, this B***starred came to tarnish their reputation. Although he didn't have a good reputation, anyone would feel embarrassed when someone said it out loud like that. The Beast King was also here. How could he miss such a grand event? Han Fei hit the sledgehammers again and shouted, "The sea race has been plotting against the human race. How can we resist the foreign races when we are faced with internal and external troubles? The Avenger's action is in accordance with the will of the heavens." 18 years ago, the 100,000 Mountains, the human race and the venerables of Black Rock City joined hands to attack the sea race and won 500 years of chaos for us. In this chaotic world, there will be heroes. This is Shimin Linglan, the abandoned daughter of the Shimin family in U City. When she was young, her spiritual heritage was taken away. Unwilling to submit to fate, she went into the mountains to seek cultivation and fought in the sea for millions of miles. In this chaotic world, she has the ambition to save people from disaster with the heart of revenge. This time, I came back to liberate the entire U City. Everyone under the rule of U City can become a free citizen. Ho! Ho! Shimin Linglan, hero in the chaotic world, Shimin Linglan. Okay, I swear to follow you until death. Han Fei didn't care what the people shouted. He was thinking about what to say next. Shimin Linglan was embarrassed and said to him telepathically, "Why did you drag me into this? What hero in the chaotic world? I don't have any ambition." Han Fei said, "Don't panic. Calm down first." Han Fei continued to shout, "Today, with the joint support of all the senior leaders of the Venerables, Shimin Linglan will be the city lord of U City. Shimin Linglan will be the mayor of U City. She will spread cultivation techniques and battle techniques, control the fishing grounds, help the villages and towns, help the citizens, lower taxes, punish looting. In short, she will wipe out all the injustice in the world." Someone's arms were raised high up in the air, and he roared madly. Countless people shouted at the same time, their voices like waves, "Support City Lord Shimin." Someone burst into tears. Dawn, it's really dawn. Behind Han Fei, Jia Wuxing and the others stood straight. I've become a senior leader of the Avenger? His face was full of glory. Han Fei smiled and knocked the sledgehammer again. He turned his head and glanced at Shimin Linglan, then handed over a jade slip. Read it. Shimin Linglan's head was buzzing. I've become the city lord for no reason? Aren't you the city lord? Shimin Linglan hurriedly said, Why am I the city lord and not you? Han Fei said, To manage a city, the strongest person has to stand up. You are an explorer and I am a law enforcer. If I am the city lord, people have to listen to me. Read it quickly. Don't let people wait too long. Shimin Linglan held the jade slip and scanned it with her spiritual power. She immediately looked tense and her head was still buzzing. He felt that other than reading words, there was nothing else he could do. He was a reading machine. But anyway, she was an explorer now. Shimin Linglan quickly calmed herself down and maintained a cold posture, thinking that there were fish heads below. Yes, they are all fish heads. I will read the words to the fish heads. Under everyone's expectant gazes, Shimin Linglan slowly said, I am Shimin Linglan. I hereby announce that everyone who was under the rule of the city of you, regardless of whether it is the city or the villages, will forever be free below. The mountains and seas roared, the voices shook and filled the sky. Shimin Linglan was stunned for a moment. Then, she hurriedly continued, No matter if it's the former aristocratic families, the current Avengers, or the future City Lord, the freedom of these people will be recognized and protected. When the people, or any one of them, make any effort for their own freedom, no one is allowed to do anything to oppress them. Shimin Linglan relaxed a little and continued to read. However, under the rule of City of You, there are billions of people. The law must be enforced to prevent people with bad intentions from doing things that are difficult to understand. Humans must be united. They must not kill each other, plunder, or bully the weak. Humans must set their sights on the future and fight against the sea race. For the survival of the human race, everyone must work together. Only when everyone is united can we succeed. Under everyone's expectant gaze, Shimin Linglan took a deep breath and said, Now, with my authority, I officially announce that the former City of You is gone. Today, City of You will be renamed the City of Justice. We will fight for the rise of the human race and for the justice in our hearts. Han Fei stood aside and watched with a smile. When there were too many people, what were they talking about? They couldn't hear them clearly. He could only find one or two voices among them. The main thing was still roaring. It was all roaring. What Shimin Linglan wanted to do was to establish the image of the City Lord. As for other things, the City Lord didn't need to say much. He just needed to be treated like a god by the people. Han Fei took over the topic and shouted, The City of Justice has just been established and we need talents. This was a time when talents were needed. The strong had the duty and responsibility of the strong. Now, the City Lord's mansion is recruiting rogue cultivators, explorers, law enforcers, and talented hidden fishers to govern this city. Swish, swish, swish. Many people had already soared into the air, looking like they couldn't wait any longer. At this moment, many people understood that this was a great opportunity. If they joined the Avengers, they would be one of their own. However, Han Fei also saw many people's expressions change. In the crowd, someone shouted, Don't listen to him. He made it sound nice, but he's just an aristocratic family. They win over the strong and exploit the people. Do they really think they are here to liberate us? I didn't expect that they just hid a little deeper. If they recruit the strong, what about us ordinary people? This is not fair. What the F***ck do you know? If they don't recruit, do you expect the City Lord to take care of everything? Where's your brain? Do you have anything for them to exploit? For a moment, the crowd was divided into two groups. Han Fei's eyes flashed. Clang. The sledgehammer hit and the sound reverberated. Han Fei's voice rippled. All those who are recruited will be supervised by the people. However, those who do immoral things will be severely punished. Sure enough, when Han Fei said this, many people were relieved and continued to cheer. Of course, someone shouted, "Don't listen to him. The strong will only protect the strong. They won't think about us." Swish! Han Fei suddenly disappeared and instantly captured a person. The void lines controlled this person. He immediately smiled and thought, "What a bunch of idiots." Han Fei controlled this person's appearance and shouted, "Does anyone know this person?" Immediately, many people exclaimed, "I know this person. He's from the Zhou family." Someone said angrily, "F***CK, isn't he Zhou Xiaotian?" Then, Han Fei grinned. "Everyone, there are many people from the big clans in the crowd. Pay attention to the people around you. Once they are confirmed, they can be seriously injured and sent here. Once their identity is confirmed, they can be killed on the spot." Bam! The disciple of the Zhou family who was controlled by Han Fei was directly shattered into a mist of blood. Han Fei grinned and said, "Don't forget. Although we are righteous, we are also avengers. Good job. The city of justice can't be tarnished by the big clans. Everyone, look for him. He's Yang Tai. I can't be wrong. He's from the Yang family. I have one here too. He's from the Dongfang family. Definitely. He has a birthmark on his neck. I have one here too." In an instant, the scene was chaotic. Shimin Linglan said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Will it be chaotic?" Han Fei shook his head. "This is not an era of peace, but a world of chaos. To win the hearts of the people and eliminate the dissidents, let's cultivate the sense of ownership of this city first." In the blink of an eye, more than 80 people with swollen faces were thrown out of the building. There were even more who hadn't been caught and had taken advantage of the chaos to escape. Han Fei looked at those people indifferently. "I'll give you a reason to explain in front of everyone. If you pass the test, I'll let you go. You have 10 seconds. Immediately, someone scrambled and shouted, "I'm just a relative of a big clan. I wasn't taken away." However, as soon as this person said, "My lord, don't listen to him. He was shouting just now, telling us not to trust the decision of City Lord Shimin. This son of AB*TCH is too evil. Yes, I can prove it. And me." We all heard him. Han Fei tilted his head and looked at the man, and the latter immediately choked. "No, Han Fei sighed gloomily. "Thank you for being the first to come out to die." Puff. After killing this person with a casual slash, Han Fei looked at the others. "What do you say?" Those who were caught in public were the kind of people who didn't know how to hide themselves. They were also the ones who shouted the loudest just now. So, there was basically no mistake. Make up a reason? They couldn't make it up. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Everyone, self-destruct." Swish. At the moment when that person shouted self-destruct, a white sword light flashed past. As soon as the sword drawing technique was used, how could these people who weren't even hanging fishers guard against it? Good job. These sons of B*cheese are lucky. They should be killed. Above the void, the venerables snorted coldly and left. They couldn't stand it anymore. After executing a group of people, Han Fei turned around and shouted, "Everyone, I only hope that you will be vigilant. In the future, the City of Justice will have some relevant decrees. All city gates will be posted with fish skin notices. Now I would like to announce another thing." When the crowd calmed down, Han Fei shouted, "In a month, whether it is the City of Justice or the subordinate towns, all young people who have awakened their spiritual beasts can come to the city to gather. At that time, the first large-scale free awakening since the establishment of the City of Justice will begin. Don't miss it." 7 days later, Han Fei replanned the City of Justice with his own experience. This was something that Shimin Linglan didn't know. However, he didn't know much about it. The best way was to take the existing plans of the floating island, the scattered stars island, and other places and use them directly. At this moment, in the construction site of a mansion of a big clan, Han Fei and Shimin Linglan were sitting in a large tent. Of course, the city lord's mansion had to be built, but they didn't need to build it. The two of them had been very busy these days. With a swish, someone opened the tent and came in. General Han, the areas of the north, south, east, and west have been divided. The market plan will be the same as before. There won't be much change. Han Fei said without raising his head. Well, go and arrange for all the big clan mansions to be demolished. Build some material reserve exchange centers, refining halls, alchemy workshops, dangling fishers' unions, pioneering groups. Yes, General Han. Clatter. Another person opened the tent and came in. General Han, according to your instructions, 100 law enforcers and 800 hidden fishers have been selected from the recruited crowd according to the wishes of the ordinary people. They have been divided into 4 jurisdictions. Han Fei shrugged. Not enough. How can so few people be enough for such a big city? However, don't worry. We must consider the people carefully. The rest of the people will be incorporated into the law enforcement team to carry out daily city management and be supervised by the people. Yes, General Han. Clatter. You walked in. General Han, City Lord, at present, a large number of people are pouring in from the towns around the City of Justice, saying that they want to learn combat skills and cultivation method. However, there are too many people in the city, so it's not easy to arrange. The central library of the City of Justice that we set up is almost full. Han Fei glanced at Yu. Put up a fish skin notice outside the library and tell them to wait for a few days. At that time, there will be people going to the major villages and towns to teach them personally. In addition, each village and town can arrange 10 people to come here to store cultivation methods and combat skills. Yu glanced at Shimin Linglan, who seemed to be racking her brains and thinking about something, turned around and left quickly. Han Fei said, "Phew! It's tiring to be an emperor." Shimin Linglan was puzzled. What is an emperor? Han Fei waved his hand. Nothing. How is the Justice Employment Hall you built? Shimin Linglan shook her head helplessly. It's very difficult to design. Han Fei took the pile of fish skin maps in front of Shimin Linglan and said, Actually, it's not difficult. The employment hall only needs to have 2 functions. Issue a mission, accept a mission, and receive a mission. Whoever completes the mission will take the commission. The employment hall only charges basic service fees. Shimin Linglan asked, What if more than one person completes a mission at the same time? Han Fei nodded. That's simple. Is it a team mission or a solo mission? Just don't issue a solo mission to the public after you accept it. Shimin Linglan asked, What about points? Why do people get points for doing missions? Why do they give points to employers every time? Han Fei said, Give them something to pursue. Points can be used to upgrade one's employment rank, and they can be exchanged for resources. There will be more people taking on missions. Shimin Linglan pushed all the things to Han Fei. Spiritual energy. Do we have enough spirit awakening fluid? What if we can't make ends meet? Han Fei thought to himself, I have my own wealth. He said unhurriedly, This is the first mission to win the loyalty of the people. It doesn't matter how we do it. What matters is that we do it. Half a month later, while Han Fei and Shimin Linglan were discussing, the outside world was crowded. Today's City of Justice was the busiest in its history. The registration office of the law enforcement team was crowded with people. Someone complained, Isn't it too slow to recruit people? Someone sneered. If you don't want to queue, you can leave the team. Lord Mayor is carefully screening law enforcement personnel. Do you think you can just enter? Chao Xian came from a village. When he went to the sea, he heard that Yu City had changed dynasties and become a city of justice. The big clan was gone. The Avenger liberated the whole city, bringing freedom and justice to everyone. At first, he didn't believe it. However, from the moment he entered the city to now, he was in a daze. Was this still the city he knew? Because he saw a notice at the city gate, saying that as long as he joined the law enforcement team, he could see cultivation methods and combat skills at will. If he was successfully selected, he would be rewarded with a low-quality divine weapon. At that time, Chao Xian was tempted. At this moment, looking at the long line at the registration office, Chao Xian said, "Brother, cut the line." Immediately, a group of people turned around and glared at this person. Which son of AB** TCH said that he wanted to cut the line? Chao Xian immediately shrank his head. Nowadays, can't you cut the line? Chao Xian was stunned and quickly laughed. I'll go line up. I'll go line up. Seeing that there were too many people, Chao Xian didn't know where to go. Someone laughed and said, "Brother, you just came back from the sea, right? Don't even think about joining the law enforcement team. If you don't have the strength of a hidden fisher, how can you join the law enforcement team?" Chao Xian was speechless. Is a hidden fisher so worthless? But give me a while and I'll be able to make a breakthrough. Someone said, "You just came back from the sea. You must go to the logistics division. There, you can exchange for the materials you want, and the service fee is very low, only 10%. Chao Xian's eyes lit up. There's such a place? In the logistics division, there were only 120 windows in total in the 4 areas. Every day the place was crowded with people. The 4 logistics divisions had been queuing up from morning till night. It could be seen that there were definitely a lot of people who exchanged for materials. In fact, most people couldn't exchange for high-level materials. Therefore, the task of the logistics division was to receive a pile of materials from one person and then give these materials to other people who wanted them. The service fee was only 10%. At this moment, Chao Xian looked at the people who were even more than the law enforcement team and was dumbfounded. How long do I have to wait? Just when Chao Xian was hesitating whether to wait or not, he suddenly heard someone shout, good news, the logistics division is expanding. Does anyone want to join the logistics division? 1 shift every 7 days and the benefits are extremely high. When you come in, you can get 2 caddies of spiritual spring. The benefits are comparable to those of the law enforcement team. You can have the priority to exchange for the resources in the logistics division. In an instant, Chao Xian was pushed away by someone. He watched as those people rushed forward like crazy. In an instant, people surged and shouted, "Me! I want to join. I came first. I am a peak-level great fishing master. I am a peak-level hanging fisher." What? You are a hanging fisher? Why are you here? Go to the employment hall. The money there is more and there are all kinds of tasks. Oh really? Where is the employment hall? Chao Xian asked, what is this place? Forget it, anyway, I can't find a place to exchange resources here. Let's go elsewhere first. Chapter 1142. As one of the millions of ordinary people, although Chao Xian knew that he was ordinary, he had been working hard. To put it more bluntly, although he was a loser, he also had the dream of becoming a god. Chao Xian finally found the employment hall amidst the crowd. This hall was quite large because it was based on the mansion of a large clan. It didn't take long for Chao Xian to squeeze in. Then, he saw that many people were holding booklets in their hand. In addition to the booklets, Chao Xian also saw that the walls of this hall were covered with all kinds of small advertising-like tasks. Go to the sea area 2,000 kilometers offshore, find the 5-step coral snake, the corpse must be intact. The reward is a green spiritual fruit, effective for 3 days. Chao Xian's eyes lit up, and he was about to rush over to talk to the waiter, only to see that the fish skin was taken off. Then, under Chao Xian's gaze, a waiter handed something to the young woman. That was it. Chao Xian was speechless. She was taken away just like that? However, Chao Xian didn't panic. Anyway, there were still many. He could just continue to look at the next one. Go to the sea area 3,000 kilometers offshore, find a coral reef, find a red horn sea anemone. The requirement is, before he finished reading the requirements, the fish skin map was taken off again and taken away. Chao Xian continued to look, because a new fish skin map was hung up again. Go to the Whirlpool Valley, hunt the black scale flood dragon, the corpse must be intact. The reward is a low-quality divine weapon, 3 spiritual energy fruits, and 1 energy fruit. Effective for 5 days. Chao Xian frowned slightly. This was a bit difficult. He knew about the Whirlpool Valley. This seemed a bit difficult. However, it was not impossible to give it a try. He had a trump card, so he should be able to. However, when Chao Xian was about to shout, a man shouted, "I'll take the Whirlpool Valley mission. It's not a problem. I can finish it in 3 days." Chao Xian was dumbfounded. He finally understood that the missions here had to be fought for. There were many people like him who were eyeing them covetously. As soon as a waiter took out a fish skin, someone next to him shouted, "No matter what this mission is, I'll take it. I'm an intermediate hidden fisher." Chao Xian felt a toothache. The missions that no one picked up were either too low in reward or too difficult. There were also those who hunted exotic creatures, which was not something that ordinary people could do. Chao Xian keenly noticed that one of the attendants was reaching for the fish skin. He instantly roared, "Whatever the mission is, I'll take it." The receptionist glanced at him. "If I take out a difficult task, can you accept it?" With that, the attendant glanced at the fish skin map and shrugged. "Fine. You won the bet." Then, the staff unfolded the fish skin map and showed it to Chao Xian. It wasn't a sea mission. Go to the great desolate village on the reef coast and give them pointers on cultivation techniques and combat skills. The mission will only end after you receive the approval of the village chief. A semi-divine weapon for revenge and 100 pounds of spiritual spring. Recognition type mission, no time limit. Suddenly, Chao Xian's eyes lit up. Semi-divine weapons? And 100 caddies of spirit spring? Chao Xian was overjoyed. He was now short of a semi-divine weapon, so he wanted to exchange for it at the logistics division. Who could have predicted this? He received a mission just like that. As far as Chao Xian knew, although the village was weak, there would be strong experts. But under normal circumstances, the strong would go to higher places and wouldn't stay for long. Chao Xian hurriedly said, "I'll take it, I'll take it." The attendant said, "Because it's a special mission, this fish skin map is for you. However, to complete the mission and receive the reward, you must have the village chief's seal." Okay. Chao Xian asked for the location of the great desolate village, excitedly, and left the city. The moment he received this mission, he immediately fell in love with this city of justice. It was completely different from the previous Yu city. Chao Xian murmured, "I'm told that this city of justice is still being replanned. Maybe it will be ready when I come back. When the time comes, I can use the resources I have on me to exchange with the logistics division. I might even be able to get something better." The great desolate village. Chao Xian looked at the village that covered an area of no more than 100 square kilometers and soon asked where the village chief lived. When Chao Xian found the courtyard of the village chief's house, he saw a refiner who was even stronger than him. Before long, Chao Xian saw an old man and a young man walking out of the courtyard hand in hand. The old man said, "In that case, the hunting mission of the village will be handed over to you. Because our village is relatively remote, many men died in the war in the past. Many children don't even have enough to eat. They don't have the talent, so they have to eat more." The young man smiled. "Don't worry, village chief. As long as I'm here, the children in the village can eat whatever they want. They will definitely eat their fill before the awakening of their talent." After the young man left, the village chief looked at Chao Xian and immediately beamed. "Hey, an honorable guest is here. May I ask what mission you accepted?" Chao Xian asked in surprise. "Village chief, do you give out many missions in your village?" The village chief said with a smile. Not many at all. Not many at all. We don't have the money to issue missions even if we want to. In other villages, we can issue dozens of missions in one go. Our great desolate village only issued dozens of missions because the city lord stayed in our village for a few days and took care of us. Chao Xian was surprised. The city lord stayed here before? The village chief laughed. That was decades ago. City Lord Shiman was kicked out of the Shiman family and temporarily stayed in our great desolate village. Then, he left without a sound and took Marshal Han with him. Sigh, I didn't know that they would grow to become like this. Hiss. General Han? Chao Xian was shocked. On the way back to the City of Justice, people were talking about Shiman Linglan and General Han. Although he had never seen them before, they were talking about how powerful they were. They said that City Lord Shiman killed his way through an elite family in the Storm Strait. He was comparable to a venerable and had reached the peak of the venerable realm. Chao Xian didn't dare to think about such a person. Venerable one? How King strong was that? However, General Han was a legend. He was said to be a mid-level enforcer who killed an explorer and was the strongest general of the Avenger. At that time, Chao Xian was shocked. Was he bragging? An enforcer could kill an explorer? What kind of enforcer was that? So, both of them came from the great desolate village? It wasn't the first time the village chief saw such an expression. He smiled. Don't worry, you will be rewarded. Oh right, what's your mission? Oh, I'm here to teach them cultivation techniques and combat technique. The village chief exclaimed, Oh, so it's this mission. Looks like you will have to stay in that stupid, General Han's house. Ever since the news about General Han came, all the kids went there. Even the library was placed in the city lord's residence. Chao Xian nodded and said with a smile, Village chief, to what extent can I teach them? Should I teach them a complete set of combat techniques? The village chief said, I have to agree to that. But in reality, 3 months is enough. After that, the next teacher will come over. However, in these 3 months you have to teach them seriously. The children need to improve. Chao Xian was surprised to hear that they could get a semi-divine weapon in 3 months. Was there such a benefit? But when the village chief and Chao Xian came to the so-called residence, he was stunned. Just such a small, shabby house? The village chief said with a smile, This small house is where General Han used to live. The big house next to it is the former residence of the mayor. With that said, the village chief roared, Brats, come here. Your teacher is here. Buzz! From all directions, a group of children ran over, and one of them shouted, Village chief, I'm going to the reef beach to call people. Chao Xian wondered, Village chief, this reef beach seems to be quite famous. Chao Xian was puzzled. After all, the mission was to teach the great desolate village next to the reef beach. It meant that the reef beach was more famous than the great desolate village. The village chief said with a smile, There are many reefs in this small place. There are fewer estuaries. However, the danger level of this reef coast was not high. Besides, the terrain there is open. You can teach there during the day. A moment later, Chao Xian felt terrible. There must be thousands of people here, right? The village chief quickly said, Ha! Well, in fact, we also issued a mission to recruit some dangling fishers. However, no one has arrived yet. You are the first one to come. But it doesn't matter. More people will come later. Chao Xian was relieved. That's good. Otherwise, how can I teach so many children? Since he had accepted the mission and was paid, Chao Xian certainly wouldn't slack off. So he said to the children, Listen, everyone. I have 3 purposes for teaching. First, I will check your spiritual heritage, then I will choose an art for you, and finally, I will begin to teach you combat skills. During this period, you must work hard. As long as you work hard, you won't be bad. Okay, teacher. Teacher, are we testing the spiritual heritage now? Teacher, I want to choose a heaven-level art. Chao Xian was speechless. Even I don't have a heaven-level art. You want a heaven-level art? If there is a heaven-level art, how can I come here to teach students? However, the village chief shouted, you have to do it step by step. Don't rush. You have to cultivate to the heaven level, not the heaven level at the beginning, understand? When you become as strong as the city lord and Marshal Han in the future, we will give you the heaven-level arts and combat skills of our village. Puff. Chao Xian was stunned. Really? What does he mean? There are heaven-level arts and combat skills in the Grand Desolate Village? Because he had to prepare the spiritual heritage testing stone and check the library, Chao Xian scheduled the teaching for the next day. He couldn't live in the place where the city lord used to live. After all, it had been changed into a library. He could only live in Han Fei's small shabby house. Chao Xian glanced at the door of the house, at the 2 peach trees that had lost their peaches, and smiled. Immediately, he pushed the door open. At this time, a cloud of dust fell. Looking around, it was covered with dust and slightly damp. Seeing this, Chao Xian smiled faintly. He was also from the village, and had lived in such a house. However, Marshal Han's house was very tidy, and everything was arranged neatly. Of course, Chao Xian didn't take it seriously. No matter how good the house was, as a peak-level hanging fisher, he didn't need to sleep in a house. Just glancing at it, Chao Xian went to the library next door. At this moment, the afternoon sun was shining brightly. When Chao Xian entered the door, he saw an old man with a broken hand and a lame leg lying on a chair basking in the sun. Chao Xian didn't know the strength of the old man at first glance. It seemed that this old man was also a strong master. So Chao Xian asked politely, Sir, I am a new teacher. I need to take a look at the cultivation arts and combat skills in the library. Okay, the old man was lying half dead. Maybe he had been lying for too long and couldn't get up. Chao Xian didn't say much and went straight into the house. After a while, when he saw the renovated bookshelf, he randomly picked a book. F***CK. Chao Xian threw the book away. The old man's voice sounded leisurely outside. Don't throw the book away. How can you be a teacher with such a temper? Even a fool is better than you. Chao Xian hurriedly picked up the book. It was no wonder that he was surprised. I randomly picked a heaven-level combat skill? Is this F***King reasonable? Yes, the heaven-level combat skill was called Wind Feather Sword Record, and it was heaven-level, low quality. Chao Xian didn't feel good at all. He traveled far and wide and only got a heaven-level, low-quality swimming technique by accident. Who would have thought that in such a small village, he would be able to get a book so easily? Instantly, Chao Xian felt that he had made a fortune. 3 months of teaching was really too short. He had to teach for at least a year to get it. As Chao Xian flipped through the book, he found 6 heaven-level, low-quality combat skills and more than 30 types of cultivation arts, some of which were even better than his own. After confirming the content, Chao Xian was not in a hurry. He couldn't help but walk out of the door and ask the old man, Senior, do these cultivation arts and combat skills originally exist in the Grand Desolate Village? The old man wasn't arrogant and said indifferently, Aren't they copied by the villagers in the city? TSK, I heard that the righteous city is very lively now. It's not good for me to go. I'll just leave it here for retirement. Chao Xian was stunned. Heaven-level combat skills are also copied? The old man patted the chair. My young mistress is the city lord. Isn't it normal for the Grand Desolate Village to copy a few more? Chao Xian lost his voice. You. The old man smiled. Don't make a fuss. When she was young, she left with the little fool. She has no feelings for me. Chao Xian couldn't help but be interested. Senior, was the city lord extremely talented in the past? How many years has it been and she's already so strong? The old man said, Young mistress can't do it. The fool is still better. Chao Xian frowned. Who is the fool you're talking about? The old man smiled. That Wang Han. He used to be a fool, but he's amazing. In this world, there aren't many people who are as talented as him. Chao Xian felt that something wasn't right. If General Han was talented, then why was Shiman Linglong the city lord? However, he heard that General Han was the one speaking on Liberation Day. Did he not hear enough news? The old man said, "It's nothing. There are always differences in talent. You can't expect everyone to be a genius. In this chaotic world, geniuses sometimes don't live long. Oh right, I don't ask you to stay at my place tonight. Go sleep somewhere else." Teaching wasn't a boring life. It was mainly because there were too few teachers in the grand, desolate village. Chao Xian was busy every day. There were too many children. It wasn't possible to take care of everything. However, the process of teaching was very fulfilling. While teaching others, he could also deepen his own understanding. When he was free, Chao Xian would go to the reef beach to take a look. He felt that it was good to not have to take risks. Unfortunately, this wasn't his path. He wanted to become strong. Why wouldn't he want a free heaven-level combat skill? Half a month passed until the day the village leader brought a group of 12-year-olds to the city. Chao Xian felt the pressure was greatly reduced. He saw that the peaches on the peach tree had grown. He picked one and pushed open the door of his house again. "Forget it. I'll just relax for a while. I still need to find a place to sleep." The night was as cold as water. Chao Xian didn't dare to sleep deeply. This was his habit. He subconsciously scanned the house with his perception. Suddenly, Chao Xian felt something was wrong. He found that there was a partition in the wall. There's something in it. Chao Xian flipped over and stood up, even though he knew it wasn't a good idea. He knew that this wasn't a good idea, but no one had lived in this house for a long time. It shouldn't be a problem to satisfy his curiosity, right? Behind a side cabinet, Chao Xian pulled away the dried seaweed leaves and found a book called Turtle Essence Breathing Technique hidden inside. There were also a few weapons and a few dried spirit fruits hidden in a box. He felt that she might have forgotten to bring these things with her when she left. However, there was another layer inside. It was just that the inner layer was made of mud. If one didn't have perception, they wouldn't find the inner layer. Chao Xian thought to himself, "It's been hidden for so long. Marshal Han and the others shouldn't have found it when they were young. What if it's very important?" Of course, Chao Xian didn't think it was a special treasure. It was just a small box. After a while, when Chao Xian took out the small wooden box, he found a letter and a ring inside. Chao Xian didn't feel anything special about the ring because it was too small and seemed to be only suitable for a newborn child to wear. Out of curiosity, Chao Xian opened the unsealed letter and glanced at it. However, as Chao Xian looked at it, his face suddenly became strange. In the letter, it was written as follows: Han if you can read this letter one day, it means that you have unexpectedly succeeded in your cultivation, your mind should have recovered, and your strength should be very strong. If this is the case, then you really need to read this letter. If others see it, please leave the letter here. It's of no value to you. Chao Xian sighed slightly and continued to read. Han since you have become a strong person, then I still have to tell you. Actually, I told you that your mother is dead, but I didn't do dual cultivation, just that I didn't dare to marry a wife. The world is so chaotic, I'm afraid that I might die one day. If you are sober, don't be fooled by others. Let me tell you, there are not many people in this world who are trustworthy. Remember. In the letter, in addition to a lot of words not to be fooled, the second half was Chao Xian's sigh. It was written, Han I found you on the reef beach. At that time, you were wrapped in a transparent ball as thin as a jellyfish's skin, with nothing on your body except this ring in your hand. Thinking about it, maybe your parents left it for you. I don't know whose child you are either. However, this should be a chance given to you by the heavens. You have been born with great strength since you were young, but the heavens are jealous of geniuses. I tried countless times, but still couldn't make you cultivate. I tried my best. Alas, your father's talent is mediocre, and I will probably die in battle. However, I'm not afraid, I'm used to it. But Han, don't follow in my footsteps. If you really have to go to the battlefield, your life is more important. As for whether you can find your biological parents, it depends on your own ability. By the way, when you see this letter, I will probably be dead. Set up a tombstone for me under the peach tree at the door. I also want to live a peaceful life for a few days. In the whole letter, it only explained Han Fei's mysterious background. In addition to this, Chao Xian was surprised that he couldn't cultivate when he was young. Chao Xian put away the letter and the ring, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. I have to give it to General Han. He knew that this was an opportunity, and it was definitely not a small opportunity. 3 months later, on the reef beach, thousands of youths were practicing their fists, their bodies surging with qi and blood. The air crackled from their punches. Chao Xian shouted angrily, "Stop!" Chao Xian was on a reef, looking fierce. "Today I will teach you about the path. Now it is a turbulent era. Most of you will eventually walk out of the great, desolate village. Everyone will have their own path. Some want to be strong, some want to live a better life, some pursue adventures. However, today the City of Justice shows you a path. That place may be the place where you rise." Chao Xian sighed in his heart and shouted coldly, "This is the best era, but also the worst era. Some people fall and some rise. Today's City of Justice is different. I will lead you into cultivation, and the next step is up to you. My suggestion is to go to the City of Justice. I heard that there is a trial battlefield there. Maybe you will rise from there." Suddenly, a child asked, "Teacher, what is your path?" Chao Xian was taken aback, turned around, and looked at the vast sea. He was very clear that the weak were not qualified to talk about the path. If there was, it would be this endless sea. Chapter 1143. The City of Justice, including the surrounding islands near the sea, had all opened up trial battlefields. The so-called trial battlefields were all the beaches of the City of Justice and the surrounding villages and towns near the sea. According to the distance of the sea, they were divided into different levels. For example, the reef beach could be called one of the lowest trial battlefield. Han Fei's idea was very simple, which was different from fishing on the sea in the future. At this time, there was no so-called safe area in the sea. Therefore, he directly adopted the combat mode on the Scattered Stars Island. Of course, after formulating various policies, Han Fei and Shimen Linglan went to sea again. The reason was that the resources of the Avenger had been consumed by more than 60% as early as a month after the establishment of the City of Justice. The low tax of the City of Justice could only maintain a daily balance between supply and demand. The Avenger fleet was like a ghost wandering on the sea. About every year or so, they would come back. Under normal circumstances, only the ordinary Avenger would come back, but the main ship wouldn't. As for Jiao Wuxing, because he had become an explorer, he was left in the city, which made him feel very aggrieved. At this moment, the Avenger fleet had been here for almost a year. The 10 big ships that accompanied it had basically gone back once. Unlike the previous Avenger fleet, the current Avenger fleet's formation had changed. The prototype of a tyrannical big ship had appeared, which was all thanks to Han Fei. Han Fei was carving arrays at the bottom of the ship at this moment, and no creatures dared to approach him. Shimen Linglan appeared beside Han Fei. The big clans seemed to be really quiet now. After many collisions with the City of Justice, it is said that the big clans have moved their exploration direction to the north. Han Fei said casually, "No, this is just the forbearance of the big clans. I said we have 500 years, but in fact it would be good if we could have 50 years. If those venerables recover, the big clans will definitely infiltrate the City of Justice again." Shimen Linglan was shocked. 50 years? So fast? Han Fei smiled. For the venerables, 50 years is nothing. If it is necessary, let alone 50 years, Even if it is 500 years or 5,000 years, they can bear it. Although I have the support of the people, there are still too few strong masters. You need to make a breakthrough as soon as possible. Shimin Linglan frowned. As long as I can completely devour the Taoist aura of those venerables, it is only a matter of time before I become a peak-level law enforcer. 50 years might be possible. Han Fei said with a smile, don't underestimate your potential. The strength of your spiritual heritage only determines the speed of your cultivation. You have the venerable bone, so it's impossible for you to be slower than those geniuses. The most important thing was to become a peak-level explorer and to break through to become a venerable. That was what needed to be truly enlightened. Your Grand Tao has already been confirmed. Peak-level explorers won't be a problem for you. The Exalt realm is the key to you. Shimin Linglan replied indifferently, what about you? Are you suppressing your cultivation again? Han Fei chuckled. I'm used to it. Shimin Linglan asked curiously, I don't understand. Why are you suppressing your cultivation? If you become an explorer, I'm afraid you won't have many opponents in the explorer realm. Han Fei thought to himself, if I continue to make breakthroughs, too many things will change. At this moment, the City of Justice had just gotten back on track. I don't dare. Han Fei smiled. Because I take a different path. This path is extremely difficult. You will need to cultivate every realm to perfection. Shimin Linglan's gaze turned serious. It's that hard? What path is it? Han Fei glanced at her and said casually, invincible. Shimin Linglan felt as if a mountain had hit her chest. Invincible? In this world, who dares to say that they are invincible? If Han Fei chose this path, wouldn't it be the strongest path? However, after witnessing so many miracles, she felt that Han Fei had always been the strongest. Shimin Linglan nodded. I believe you. I'll wait for you to become a venerable. However, we have plenty of time. It's time to go back. Take your time. Okay. At the port of the City of Justice, someone was running wildly at the port. The Avenger is back. A large group of law enforcers and hidden fishers came to greet them. Everyone shouted in unison, Welcome back to the city, City Master. Jia Wuxing stood on the deck. How is it? Captain, General Han, has anyone become an explorer? I've been sitting in the city every day and my brain has become big. Among the former members of the Avenger, a thin man was pushed out, looking speechless. Jia Wuxing roared, Yang Xiaogao, you've become an explorer now? Okay, from today on, you stay in the city and I'll go back to the ship. Ha ha, you're really a good brother. Yang Xiaogao was speechless. No, old Jia. You're so familiar with the City of Justice. I can't do it. Jia Wuxing said angrily. Bullsh *T, I do nothing but sign and dig out the inventory every day. Anyone can do this job. If you're my brother, let's do it one by one. I promise I'll create a new explorer for you next year. Shimin Linglan said with a black face, Okay, you're too loud. Is there anything big in the city this year? Jia Wuxing waved his hand. Captain, don't worry. Nothing happened. General Han's plan is being carried out as planned. This year, 356 new law enforcers and 3,108 hidden fishers were born. I don't remember the rest. Anyway, many people have improved. This is all thanks to you and General Han. Hearing this, Han Fei felt that this was a lot. In such an era, it was already very exaggerated that so many strong masters were born in a year. Of course, this was only the first year. It might not be so good in the future. Shimin Linglan's eyes lit up and she looked at Han Fei. So many. Han Fei smiled faintly. It doesn't matter. This is only the first year. In the next 10 years, there will definitely be explorers. Jia Wuxing howled. Unfortunately, to become an explorer, one has to pass the lightning tribulation. This year, 3 people passed the tribulation and all died. Han Fei frowned. Next time someone wants to pass the tribulation, let them wait for a year. When the Avenger returns, help them pass the tribulation. Jiao Wuxing nodded and suddenly said, "Oh, by the way, General Han, do you know a man named Chao Xian? This man said that he had your father's last wish and relic for you. However, he insisted on seeing you in person. I detained him in the city lord's mansion." Shimin Linglan was surprised. "Who are you talking about? Wang Han's father?" Han Fei frowned too. "Take me to him." In the city lord's mansion. Chao Xian was not in a hurry. He knew that as long as General Han didn't return to the great desolate village, he wouldn't find his father's relic. This was an opportunity. He had to see General Han in person. Besides, although he stayed in the city lord's mansion, the rich spiritual energy there could help him continue to polish his realm. Once he became a hidden fisher, he would definitely not be weak. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared in Chao Xian's small yard. Jiao Wuxing shouted, "General Han, it's this guy. He doesn't trust me and refuses to give me anything." Chao Xian was shocked. If he guessed right, the young man and the arrogant woman in front of him must be General Han and City Lord Shimin. Chao Xian quickly got up and said respectfully, "I'm Chao Xian. Nice to meet you, City Lord and General Han." Han Fei said casually, "You mean you have my father's relic?" What Han Fei could think of was the wooden turtle and a bag of things that he forgot to take with him before he left. Chao Xian quickly said, "A year ago, I received a teaching mission from the great desolate village. Because the former residence of the city lord and General Han became a place that people yearned for, I boldly lived in General Han's house and accidentally discovered a secret. General Han doesn't know." Han Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. "Where is it?" Chao Xian hurriedly said, "It's actually on me. I've been carrying it with me." Jiao Wuxing was stunned. "That's impossible. I've seen it. Where is it?" Chao Xian smiled shamefully. "Actually, it's nothing special. So, Lord Jia didn't notice it." With that said, Chao Xian took out the letter and the ring from a table in his room. Jiao Wuxing was speechless. "You didn't hide such an important thing?" Han Fei patted Jiao Wuxing's shoulder and said, "You don't understand. The most dangerous place is the safest place. Your attention is focused on the most valuable part of him." When Han Fei saw the ring on the letter, his pupils suddenly constricted. "This is the time ring?" He had always ignored a problem. He thought that his soul had just transmigrated. Why did the time ring follow him here? But it's limited to you. The moment the time ring appeared, he immediately understood something. Calmly, Han Fei flipped his hand, put away the ring, and then opened the envelope to read. Both Shimin Linglan and Jiao Wuxing looked at Han Fei, because Han Fei's brows had been frowning. In fact, Han Fei was thinking, it's not surprising that the reincarnation secret realm was picked up. He had been thinking, how do I get out of the reincarnation soul realm? However, at this moment, he suddenly thought of the simplest question. Did I really come to the reincarnation soul realm? After all, the top 5 soul realms all had a way to get out. However, he didn't know how to go back to the reincarnation soul realm. Many heavenly talents from the big clans in the 1,000-star city had entered it, but had he met them? No, not even once, and there are no signs. Han Fei was thinking at this moment. The Beast King said that the River of Time was extremely difficult to cross. Then, what if the River of Time and the normal reincarnation soul realm were 2 different places? Han Fei suddenly took a deep breath. The entrance he came in was in the 5th soul realm. At this time, when he saw the time ring, Han Fei would inevitably think of the time dragon carp. Could it be that he didn't actually enter the soul realm by accident? If this was the case, would there be any changes when he wore this time ring? Could this be the way out? Shimin Linglan asked, "What's wrong?" Han Fei had no scruples with Shimin Linglan and handed the letter directly to Shimin Linglan. Under Shimin Linglan's astonished gaze, Han Fei looked at Chao Xian and said lightly, "Yes, it's quite important. I can give you several choices. One is to board the Avenger, but I won't give you any reward. The other is to teach you a heaven-level, divine-quality body-tempering technique. The third is up to you. Han Fei knew that Chao Xian must have something to ask of him after waiting for a year. This was a human instinct. However, he didn't know when he had become someone else's opportunity. The time ring that Chao Xian brought was indeed extremely important. He was willing to give it to him. Chao Xian was immediately refreshed, and his body straightened. Boarding the Avenger? That was not easy to get on. It was said that there were no weaklings on the Avenger. However, a heaven-level, divine-quality body-tempering technique was extremely valuable. Even the third option was enough for him to ask for a large number of resources. General Han and the City Lord would definitely give him what he wanted as long as he could afford it. However, from the first option, Chao Xian saw the hope of becoming a real master. Compared to the last two temptations, they were all temporary. However, if he could board the Avenger, Chao Xian's eyes were firm. I choose to board the Avenger. Jiao Wuxing rubbed his head and shouted, Boy, if you choose the last two options, I really want to slap you to death. Do you even need to think about it? Damn it, you are definitely the weakest person on the Avenger. Since the rise of the City of Righteousness, the standard of living of human beings had not skyrocketed. However, a series of fancy urban planning had brought the city and the surrounding villages and towns to life. The reef beach had become a place for the young people of the grand desolate village to cultivate. As for this cultivation, it had changed from training to actual combat. Strong masters would take over the task and come to guard the place to prevent accidents from happening. After a year of development, a bounty hall had been built next to the village leader's house. All kinds of bounty tasks began to gradually move from the city to the villages and towns. The people of the City of Righteousness no longer stuck to the City of Righteousness, but would travel to the surrounding villages and towns to see if there were suitable tasks. This morning, under the peach tree in front of Han Fei's house in the grand desolate village, Yu Shuai heard a lot of chatter outside. He pushed the door impatiently and said angrily, What are you shouting for? The trial will start in half an hour. Who are you? Yu Shuai suddenly saw a man and a woman standing under the peach tree at the door. The woman stood there. Her imposing manner was daunting. The man squatted and was carving a steel. However, there were no words on the steel. There were complicated lines drawn on it, which looked like an array. The man looked back at him. Suddenly, Yu Shuai shivered and exclaimed, I'm Yu Shuai. Nice to meet you, General Han and City Lord Shiman. Yu Shuai broke out in a cold sweat. A year ago, when the Avenger entered the city, he watched the whole process. Didn't all the teachers live in Han Fei's house? Why did the two of them come when it was his turn? City Lord? General Han? Are you General Han? Wow! Did I see General Han? The group of children immediately burst into an uproar. What they admired most now was General Han. Because the people on the Avenger were always bragging about Han Fei's story. After all, Han Fei was more violent and could tear strong enemies apart with his bare hands. A child ran to tell, General Han is here, General Han is here. Han Fei smiled and carved a name with both hands, Wang Lun. Han Fei put down the steel, half of it in the soil, and said with a smile, It's okay. You can continue to live here. I probably won't come back in the future. Yu Shuai didn't dare to speak, mainly because he didn't know what to say. Han Fei glanced at the big house next door and said lightly, Let's go and have a look. Shiman Linglan nodded slightly. Han Fei stepped on an array, and mysterious lines appeared, supplemented by a spirit-gathering array. After 100 minutes, a small array was completed. However, Yu Shuai didn't dare to underestimate this array. The spiritual energy here was several times richer in an instant. Besides, he could see knife intent flowing in the array. It must be a killing array. Outside the killing array there was a barrier. This barrier alone couldn't be broken by ordinary people. And this was just to guard a steel. When Yu Shuai was still looking at the steel in a daze, and when the group of children was still excited to come up and say hello, the two of them suddenly disappeared with a swish. Next door, the big house of the library hadn't opened, but an old man was already sitting on a chair, his face expressionless. When he saw Han Fei and Shimin Linglan, the old man raised his head with a smile. "Miss, you're awesome. You've become a city lord." Shimin Linglan had a complicated look in her eyes. "Grandpa Su, I just learned that you actually have the strength of a peak-level hidden fisher." The old man laughed. "It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Wang Han, did you awaken your spiritual sense?" Han Fei nodded slightly and threw a divine healing technique on the old man, but it didn't work. The old man shook his head and said, "Don't waste your energy. I've been here for too long. It can't be cured. Besides, it was cut off by a strong person. Only someone with the strength of a venerable can cure it." Shimin Linglan suddenly said, "So, Grandpa Su, you knew everything back then?" The old man grinned and said, "Back then, Wang Luan was a soldier under my command. He once asked me to take a look at this kid. When I came, I found out that this kid was amazingly talented. Wang Luan once tested his spiritual heritage. It was level 7. But when I came to check, it had become a level 9 spiritual heritage. However, when the Shimin family was in trouble, I thought that Miss and I were both abandoned, so I came here. If this kid rises, Miss will still have something to rely on." The old man said leisurely, "Who knows? You met him as soon as we arrived." The old man rambled on and on. "In the end," he said slowly, "the big clans won't give up. Miss, you haven't grown up enough. Only when you are no longer afraid of the venerable can you truly protect the city of justice." Shimin Linglan nodded. "Even if I can't do it, Wang Han can." The old man didn't deny it. He said lightly, "Go back. The city of justice is just getting better. I'm still waiting for its glory." Shimin Linglan said, "Grandpa Su, aren't you going back with us?" The old man sneered. "The grand desolate village is good. Really good. I didn't die at sea before. It's not easy for me to live the rest of my life in peace. Miss, are you willing to let me go back?" Shimin Linglan said, "Someone can take care of you." The old man shook his head. "I don't want to cause trouble for others. Everyone has their own things to do. Me too. If a sea monster dares to set foot in the grand desolate village in the future, I can still kill them." Han Fei smiled. "That's good." The old man glanced at Han Fei with a smile. "Right? You know me well. Go and do your own things. I'll wait and see." The children who came later didn't see Han Fei and Shimin Linglan again. But the tombstone and peach tree in front of Han Fei's house became sacred grounds. People often came to see them. After leaving the grand desolate village, Han Fei and Shimin Linglan only stayed in the City of Justice for 3 days. They made some city planning arrangements and then went to sea again. 12 years later, in the sea outside the City of Justice, EU flew over. Captain, the Dongfang family's ship. They seem to have encountered a big demon in the explorer realm. They are fighting now. Shimin Linglan's eyes were cold. "Turn around and rob." EU was now a peak-level law enforcer. She sneered. "It's only been 12 years, and they have already started to take action. They have crossed the line many times, especially in the past 2 years. They have robbed us of a lot of resources." Shimin Linglan said, "This is the personality of a big family. They are only fighting for resources now. Once they have enough strength to rob resources, the internal war will start." Han Fei flew over from a big black ship and said indifferently, "The City of Justice has already been established. They just want to pick the fruits of the labor. The civil war will last a few years at most, but the City of Justice is not what it used to be. Once they succeed, they will have hundreds of years to slowly make people forget the existence of the Avenger as long as the current situation remains unchanged." Cough. Han Fei's body trembled slightly. Shimin Linglan's heart skipped a beat. She hurriedly asked, "How are you?" Han Fei shook his head. I'm fine. Maybe it's just some memories. Shimin Linglan said, Are you unable to suppress your realm? Han Fei smiled. I'm fine. After this, I'll go to the 100,000 mountains and see the Beast King. Shimin Linglan nodded. I'll go with you. Han Fei waved his hand. No need. The Avenger needs someone. I'll be back soon. It will take at most half a month. On the other side, huge waves were surging, and the sky was filled with blade lights. A clam girl was fighting with a human. Hey! How many years has it been since the Battle of the Venerables ended? How dare you come to the human territory? Your shell is not bad. I'll take it. The clam girl was not in the mood to fight anymore. She was fighting while retreating. Suddenly, the clam girl was shocked. She put away the long silk in her hand and closed her shell. Swish! However, she was one step too late. A streak of black light appeared and rushed in before the shell closed. A miserable scream came from the shell. Don't eat me! On the other side, Dongfang Ming's face changed greatly. He slashed at the two machetes in the air. Gotcha! What? Advanced explorer Shimin Linglan? Oh! Hundreds of beasts appeared in the sky. Dongfang Ming was shocked, and a thought flashed in his mind. Wang Han is here too. Is the Avenger here? Crash! A huge blood shadow shark with thousands of bloody scars appeared in the sky. It seemed to be trying to stop Han Fei and Shimin Linglan. However, he was only an intermediate explorer. How could he be a match for such a person? Han Fei used the draw technique and slashed at the blood shadow shark with the void lines. Shimin Linglan, who was already an advanced explorer, turned into mist and joined the battle. Her two blades instantly pierced at Dongfang Ming. Puff! Chilla! Half of Dongfang Ming's body exploded, but he took the blow with the help of the blood shadow shark. Of course, his spiritual beast died in the end. A battle between two strong masters happened in the blink of an eye, not to mention that he was ambushed by two strong masters. Dongfang Ming roared, Shimin Linglan, the big clans have moved away. You don't have to kill them for resources, do you? Han Fei transformed the infinity water into a knife and instantly shattered the void torn by Dongfang Ming. He said coldly, I'll kill anyone who crosses the border. Many ships from the City of Justice have disappeared recently. I think you did it. Kill them. Han Fei's voice rumbled like thunder and could be heard hundreds of kilometers away. No one dared to approach him. Wang Han, you're provoking a war. Ho! Han Fei responded to him with 100-beast soul-suppressing roar. When the black mist surged, the two sides fought again. Dongfang Ming no longer had a chance to make a sound and died. On the other side, Yu had already led her people to the enemy's ship, trying to wipe them all out. As for the clam girl, Little Black swallowed her for a while, but Han Fei suddenly felt that Little Black was in danger and instantly took Little Black back. Humph! You're courting death. Han Fei's sacrificing punch burst out, and terrifying energy escaped, punching the clam girl into the bottom of the sea. Just when Han Fei was about to attack again, energy escaped from his only major acupoint, making Han Fei's body tremble slightly. Seeing this, Shimin Linglan said, I'll take care of it. You take a rest. Han Fei didn't care anymore but frowned. He knew that he couldn't suppress it anymore. Alas, I can't hold on much longer. First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 1144. On the Avenger, Shimin Linglan took care of the seriously injured clam girl and rushed back immediately. Shimin Linglan said eagerly, Idiot, how are you? I felt the energy in your body just now. Are you going to make a breakthrough? Han Fei nodded slightly. I can't control my power in battle. Shimin Linglan was nervous. Then you'd better not fight for now. Han Fei shook his head. I'm going to the 100,000 mountains. Take the Avenger back. Be careful in case the big clans retaliate. They must have learned the news by now. Shimin Linglan frowned. You really don't want me to go? You've never left me in your life. Han Fei was amused. So I'll be snatched away by a big fish if I go alone? Shimin Linglan snorted. Seeing that Han Fei was still naughty, she said seriously, Yang Xiaogao is also on the ship. He's also an explorer. He can handle it. Han Fei shook his head. A junior explorer and an advanced explorer are two completely different concepts. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. Shimin Linglan nodded helplessly. Then hurry up. If you don't come back in half a month, I'll go to the 100,000 mountains to find you. Han Fei grinned. Okay. Han Fei stopped 10,000 kilometers away from the Avenger, his face cold. He couldn't hold back his power for long. Once he made a breakthrough, he would definitely reach the peak and he would be very strong. At that time, the injury to his soul would be completely healed. Would he be able to recover the rest of his memory then? He didn't know yet. After all, there seemed to be some restrictions. However, the consequences of this breakthrough were unpredictable. If he really did remember, he might be directly sent out of this space under certain concealment. Han Fei didn't want to go back, but he had some things to deal with. After everything here was settled, he would leave with peace of mind. Of course, even if he made a breakthrough, he might not go back, but Han Fei couldn't take the risk. Han Fei floated in the air and thought for about 2 hours, before he turned around and flew in the direction of the Storm Strait. Beast King Valley. Wang Han, you're finally willing to come back? Idiot, why are you only an advanced law enforcer? Little Wang Han, do you want to fight? I'm Ape Lu. The Beast King roared, go and play. Disciple, come with me. When there was no one around, the Beast King's first sentence was, you can't suppress it any longer? Han Fei nodded. Master, I will definitely make a breakthrough in half a year. The Beast King took a deep breath. If we forcibly seal it, it will have a certain effect. However, your divine soul is protected by a rare treasure. This is a little difficult. Han Fei said, Master, I didn't come here to continue suppressing my cultivation. I have a feeling that I might have to leave. The Beast King's eyes widened. You found a way to cross the river of time? Han Fei thought there are only two possibilities. The first possibility was that after he broke through, his memories would be completely restored, and he would not be tolerated in this world. One was the time ring. No matter which one it was, there was bound to be a problem with his breakthrough. This premonition was very strong. Han Fei shook his head slightly. I'm not sure. I just have a strong hunch. The Beast King pondered for a moment. Then why did you come back this time if you are not looking for a seal? A trace of determination flashed in Han Fei's eyes. I'm going to set up a trap. I hope Master can take action then. What trap? Han Fei's eyes were deep. Slayer. Han Fei went to the Giant King City and the Demon Plant Mountain Range respectively. However, the Giant King and the others were all sleeping and recovering from their injuries. Perhaps they knew that Han Fei was coming, but they didn't talk to him. Han Fei just saluted and then left. Han Fei was not familiar with the Divine Sun, so he didn't go there. It only took Han Fei 7 days from the 100,000 mountains to his departure. This was because Han Fei was only a law enforcer. If he became an explorer, his travel speed would be at least several times faster than now. During the time when Han Fei was away, Shimin Linglan had been sitting on the bow of the ship, looking into the distance and waiting. Swish. Han Fei suddenly appeared, looked at Shimin Linglan with a smile, and said, I'm back. Shimin Linglan suddenly got up. What did the Beast King say? Han Fei grinned and said, It's a little difficult, but it's not a big problem. My teacher gave me a strange technique. Maybe I can make a breakthrough and pass the tribulation directly. Shimin Linglan was stunned for a moment. She had suppressed it for so long, but now she could make a breakthrough. And directly pass the tribulation directly? If so, didn't it mean that Han Fei was about to break through to the explorer realm? Shimin Linglan was overjoyed and quickly asked, What do I need to prepare? Han Fei said, I need to choose a place to pass the tribulation. My tribulation may be more troublesome. The Avenger may not be enough. I need to set up an array with the power of the earth. Shimin Linglan's face tightened. You need to look at the power of the earth? Where can I do that? Han Fei sighed. The 100,000 mountains can be used. With the dragon veins of the mountains as the array and the terrain of sky bearing, this tribulation can be passed. But that will inevitably cause great damage to the 100,000 mountains. So, I have to find a place in the sea similar to the power of the earth. Shimin Linglan frowned. You mean, the northern Lost Mountain Sea? Han Fei nodded. Yes. Shimin Linglan said, but that's the territory of the big families, right? Han Fei snorted coldly. All the places are outside the territory of the City of Justice. Besides, they know who I am, so they won't dare to attack me. Don't worry. After this tribulation, I may be free from my predicament. Shimin Linglan thought for a moment. If she went to the Lost Mountain Sea to pass the tribulation, there might be a big problem. But Han Fei was indeed different. He was the first disciple of the Four Masters. If someone dared to do anything to him during the tribulation, it would be a provocation to the 100,000 mountains. Thinking of this, Shimin Linglan nodded. Okay, then let's go. Han Fei grinned. I'm in a good mood today. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. Shimin Linglan smiled brilliantly. Stir-fried squid. Okay. When Han Fei returned, a venerable in the northern clan's territory suddenly opened his eyes. Why is the Beast King going to Blackrock City? The sea was vast and the probability of ships meeting each other was very low. Therefore, even when the Avenger arrived at the Lost Mountain Sea in the north, it didn't meet the ships of the big clans. After all, this place was still far from the land and belonged to the deep sea area. What they were more worried about was the threat from the big deep-sea demons. Half a month had passed. Han Fei wandered among the mountains, setting up arrays and planning. Everyone on the Avenger felt that Han Fei was really going to make a breakthrough this time. Someone said, "How strong do you think General Han will be after he becomes an explorer?" Someone shook his head. "I can't think of it. I'm guessing that he might even be comparable to an advanced explorer. Who knows?" Someone sighed. "That's not necessary. After all, he is still a peak-level law enforcer. But in any case, he will definitely be as strong as an intermediate explorer." Yang Xiaogao said solemnly, "Now, what we should worry about is not how strong he will be after he becomes an explorer, but how strong is the heavenly tribulation. Didn't you see that General Han has been setting up arrays for half a month? Using the mountains as a shield to resist the heavenly tribulation. TSK, General Han is probably the only person in the world who needs to go through a tribulation like this." A newcomer couldn't help but ask, "Master Gao, is the heavenly tribulation really that terrifying? How did you feel?" Yang Xiaogao shook his head. "How did I feel? Without General Han's array of ships, I felt that I was going to be killed." "You want to ask me how I felt?" "That feeling was really terrifying." Shimin Linglan shouted, "Stop chatting. Stay on high alert. Once a big demon attacks, open the array of ships and ram it." Everyone was shocked and shouted in unison, "Yes, Captain." Bam! Han Fei broke out of the water, glanced at the Avenger, and shouted in a low voice, "All ships, stay away. When I am going through the tribulation, you are not allowed to enter within 50 kilometers. Shimin Linglan came to Han Fei's side. "Don't you want to borrow the Avenger?" Han Fei said, "Have you forgotten what path I am taking? Since I am taking the invincible path, even the heavenly tribulation is my enemy. I will still use it when the situation calls for it and I have to use it. Just empty the Avenger and don't let anyone on it." Shimin Linglan felt the extreme confidence and dominance in Han Fei's words, but she couldn't help but worry. Han Fei said, "Remember, don't enter my lightning tribulation area. Otherwise, not only will it blast you, but my heavenly tribulation may even become stronger." Shimin Linglan took a deep breath. Okay, don't let anything happen. Han Fei nodded slightly. Don't worry. I will go through the tribulation in an hour. You go back to the ship first. After that, Han Fei sat directly on the sea. Seeing this, Shimin Linglan could only retreat. At this moment, no one was more nervous than she was. She knew that if Han Fei passed this tribulation, he would probably become incredibly strong. On the ship, Yang Xiaogao was shocked. Captain, does General Han not want the Avenger? Shimin Linglan shook her head slightly. Don't worry about it. Just mind your own business. And Han Fei sighed slightly in his heart. Tribulation? Everything was just made up. Han Fei had never thought that the 6th level of the true spirit fishing art would be deduced in this situation. He was also gambling, but he felt that he had the capital to do so. The deduction of the 6th level required 1 billion points of spiritual energy, and it must be shocking and turbulent. Besides, according to the historical levels of the void fishing art, the 6th level of the void fishing art could reach the venerable level, divine quality. What did this mean? Above the venerable level was the pioneer sea realm. At present, the demon purification pot could only deduce venerable level, low quality at most. Although it could continue to deduce, it would damage the demon purification pot. Han Fei still chose to deduce because he knew where the third vine was and he would get it eventually. Even if the demon purification pot was damaged by this forced deduction, it should be within the acceptable range. At worst, he could find a way to make up for it later. Furthermore, this deduction might be an opportunity for him. It was reasonable to say that the 6th level of the void fishing art was at least a venerable level technique. The safest scenario was to deduce it when he reached the venerable level. However, Han Fei couldn't really wait until he reached the venerable level. He could also reach the explorer level, and his physique could be said to have reached the peak in history. When he exerted his full strength, he was comparable to an intermediate explorer. Of course, he could give it a try. Han Fei didn't dare to talk to Shimin Linglan. Otherwise, he would definitely spew out a bunch of words similar to his last words. With Shimin Linglan's personality, she would definitely grasp this point. So, it was better not to say it. He was ready. When he reached the peak level, the deduction would begin. The two were connected. Even if the Great Way noticed it, the deduction had already begun, so it had to let it finish, right? Half an hour later, there was obviously billowing spiritual energy bursting out of Han Fei's body. 50 kilometers away, everyone looked at the sea nervously. Shimin Linglan's palms were full of sweat, her body was tense, and her face was expressionless. Hum. Vortexes appeared one after another on the sea, making Han Fei seem to be in those vortexes. A massive amount of spiritual energy soared into the sky, condensing into a spiritual energy storm visible to the naked eye. Gulp! Everyone swallowed their saliva. Had it begun? This scene was shocking enough. He was just advancing from an advanced law enforcer to a peak-level cultivator, but the movement was already so big. Wouldn't the tribulation scare people to death? Han Fei really set up arrays on the mountains. However, in addition to the spiritual energy arrays, there were also various killing arrays to prevent other creatures from attacking. It was estimated that if he really passed the tribulation, most of the mountains would probably collapse, which could be regarded as a treasure land of the Sea Clan. This deduction was also an opportunity. If Han Fei successfully deduced it, he wouldn't need to worry about cultivation techniques anymore when he reached the venerable realm. But on the sea, Han Fei didn't make any arrangements. He had to wait for the big clans to take action and ruin his tribulation. In Han Fei's ideal plan, if he successfully deduced the cultivation technique, he would definitely be seriously injured. If the big clans came to make trouble and were ready to ruin his tribulation, then his plan would be a success, because they couldn't break it at all. After all, this was not a real tribulation. At that time, he would put on the time ring and pretend that he was already dead. At that time, the Beast King would kill the Venerable, and everything would be reasonable. He could also avoid Shimin Linglan's eyes. The other situation was that the big clans didn't take action. But would it work if they didn't take action? The tribulation in the Lost Mountain Sea was just an excuse. As long as he disappeared, or they said that the big clans wanted to kill him. Regardless of whether the big clans really took action or not. The Beast King would also take action. It was hard to say whether he would kill them or not, but it shouldn't be difficult to suppress the big clans for another 100 years. Everything was within Han Fei's plan. He didn't hesitate anymore. No matter how beautiful everything was, he was not a person of this world after all. He had left the Thousand-Star City for so long. God knew what changes had happened there? 13 spiritual energy tornadoes frantically poured into Han Fei's body. The surrounding energy suddenly disappeared. The sky and the earth suddenly changed color. Han Fei was shocked. Sure enough, is this realm the limit of my life in this world? The sky and the earth had changed color before he even deduced it. Half an hour later, Kacha, when the crisp sound of a breakthrough rang out, there was a rumble in the sky, and the clear sky exploded. Deduce. Rumble. At that moment, within 10,000 kilometers, the wind and clouds suddenly changed and black clouds shrouded. In the sky, the thunder continued to explode, exploding without end. Above the sea, raging waves slapped and huge waves stacked up. Shimin Linglan and the others all held their breath and looked at this scene in shock. Is this the scene of Han Fei's tribulation? Almost at the same time, the three human venerables looked at the sky almost at the same time. Is this a tribulation? No, it's the roar of the great path? Swish. Swish. The venerables all came out at the same time, and the peak-level explorers also raised their heads. The sky and the earth changed color. Something big must have happened. The Beast King stood above the unknown sea. The Great Path doesn't allow this? What on earth did this kid do? He actually caused the sky to change? But the sky seems to be a bit weak. Like a super vortex formed above the sea, Han Fei was almost wrapped in a large cocoon of spiritual energy. However, Shimin Linglan and the others who were close could see that the terrifying amount of spiritual energy was submerging into Han Fei's body at an incredible speed. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck down without warning, and the electric arcs illuminated the void that was as dark as night. The weird electric arcs could even jump on the sea, forming a large circle that covered dozens of kilometers of the sea. As an explorer, they could already see that there seemed to be billions of tiny electric arcs flashing in the water and the void. Han Fei's clothes were torn apart, and his mouth and nose were bleeding. The electric arcs were jumping quickly on his body. Swish. Using the divine healing technique, Han Fei turned his hand and thousands of energy fruits appeared, but they turned into powder in an instant. The swallowing technique was activated, and the terrifying energy was absorbed into Han Fei's body. Boom! Crack, crack, the void was illuminated again. The thick lightning directly enveloped Han Fei. When the lightning was about to disappear, boom, 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 one lightning bolt after another fell. Every time a lightning bolt fell, Shimin Linglan and the others' eyelids twitched, and their hearts trembled. Someone exclaimed, Lord Gao, didn't you say that there were only 3 heavenly tribulations? This. How many King bolts have there been? Yang Xiaogao was also stunned. He looked at Shimin Linglan. Captain, what's going on? Is the heavenly tribulations against General Han? Shimin Linglan was also stunned. Is this a tribulation? Isn't it trying to kill me? More than 30 lightning bolts fell in a row. It seemed that it needed to accumulate power before it stopped for a while. But at that moment, everyone saw that Han Fei's skin was cracked, his body was badly mutilated, and a terrifying vitality was bursting out. They saw more than 1,000 energy fruits appear, but then they turned into powder. Han Fei's flesh and blood were growing and recovering rapidly. Above the void, 3 venerables appeared at the same time. The 3 of them looked at each other. It's Wang Han. Why is he here? Someone shouted, Look, he's trying to pass the tribulation with the help of the array in the mystical mountain sea. But why did this heavenly tribulation offend the rules? Don't worry. I've never heard of such a heavenly tribulation. It's not bad if he's killed by the heavenly tribulation. How talented is this kid to be able to trigger such a level of power? No wonder the 4 venerables of the 100,000 mountains want to accept one disciple. Shimen Tian's eyes were cold. No, this kid can't pass this tribulation. Otherwise, once he becomes a venerable, who among us can defeat him? Someone immediately said, The Beast King seems to have gone to Blackrock City. The Divine Prince of the 100,000 mountains is there. Should we take action? Another venerable said, Look, it doesn't seem to be stopping at all. Let's wait and see. If it doesn't work, we can take action. It's best not to do it ourselves, or the Beast King will be furious. Humph, even if we offend the Beast King, we can't let this kid pass the heavenly tribulation. The venerables were disappointed. They had seen Han Fei's dominance. He regarded the big races as his enemy. Once Han Fei became a venerable, the big races would never be able to rise again. Han Fei didn't dare to use secret methods. He first used the body of war and the swallowing technique to resist. However, he obviously couldn't withstand a round of bombardment. That was why he tried to resist the lightning with the terrifying vitality of the indestructible body. Fortunately, he had a lot of resources. He threw energy fruits like they were nothing. Boom, boom, boom. Half an hour later, Han Fei was directly burnt to a crisp. If it weren't for the fact that they could still feel Han Fei's breath, Shimen Linglan and the others would have collapsed. It wasn't just a few bolts of lightning. There were hundreds of them. In the sky, Shimen Tian's eyes were cold. We can't wait any longer. This kid's physique is amazing and he has endless resources. If he passes the tribulation, what will happen? Someone said, Don't move. Is there a deeper meaning behind this kid's heavenly tribulation in the Lost Mountain Sea? Shimen Tian said, How is that possible? This kid's heavenly tribulation is so terrifying. If the Beast King is here, how can he not come? The 3 of them calculated the heavenly secrets at the same time. However, they were all stunned. The heavenly secrets around this kid are chaotic. They can't calculate anything. Someone suggested, 1 peak-level explorer per family. Don't we have the venerable level remains? Throw them out and use them as a source of contention. Even if this kid dies, it won't be our turn. After all, these venerables also had their own agendas. If the Beast King was furious, he'd better not target their family. If they had to be implicated, it would be a good thing if they could bear less responsibility. However, no matter what, Han Fei couldn't pass this tribulation. This was their consensus. With Han Fei's personality, he dared to openly threaten a venerable when he was only a law enforcer. If he really succeeded in his heavenly tribulation, it would be terrible. Therefore, they would rather offend the Beast King than let Han Fei pass this tribulation. Half an hour later, Han Fei's aura was getting weaker and weaker. If it weren't for the crumbling energy fruits and the gathering of spiritual energy, Shimen Linglan felt that Han Fei might not be able to survive this weird heavenly tribulation. At this moment, the lightning began to slow down, and everyone's eyes lit up. On the Avengers' side, everyone was shouting, General Han, hold on. General Han, you are invincible. General Han, we will wait for you to come back and continue to gallop across the sea. Suddenly, 3 figures tore through the void. The 3 of them were wearing battle suits, holding huge shields, and rushed to the battlefield at an extremely fast speed. Shimen Linglan shouted angrily, Bastard, Wang Han is the first disciple of the 4 venerables. If you dare to touch him, you will definitely die. Shimen Linglan directly rushed out, followed by Yang Xiaogao. A group of peak-level law enforcers roared. Damn it, do you want to die? How dare you touch General Han? You're courting death. Big Clan B** stards stop. However, one of the three shouted, the remains of the Venerable are here. We are just competing for opportunities. With that, a ray of light was smashed into the deep sea. Han Fei was really dying now. In fact, he should have deduced the 6th level of the void fishing art after he became an explorer. This time, the consumption of resources was terrifying. He felt that a strange force was really trying to kill him. If it weren't for the rapid swallowing ability of the demon purification pot, even with the vitality of the indestructible body, he probably wouldn't have survived this. At this moment, seeing the experts of the big clans coming to attack, no one knew that the corners of Han Fei's mouth twitched under the charcoal. At this moment, a seemingly ordinary ring suddenly appeared on Han Fei's fingertip. At that moment, the ring, which was only the size of a baby's finger, instantly grew larger the moment it touched Han Fei's finger. In an instant, it turned into a dragon-shaped ring and put it on Han Fei's finger. Crack, crack, crack. Han Fei turned his head with great difficulty, and his flesh was tearing. He looked at the 3 peak-level explorers and opened his mouth with difficulty. Bam! Seeing this scene, the 3 of them had a headache. What does Wang Han mean? Has he been struck dumb? Boom! Another bolt of lightning fell, and the lightning wrapped Han Fei in it. Han Fei felt that there was a force trying to obliterate his vitality. However, a blue light flashed on his fingertip, and a vortex hole appeared. Swish! Everyone only saw that in the lightning, the man should be twisting and changing. Yet, this thunderbolt seemed to have accumulated some power. Therefore, the duration was slightly longer than usual. When the lightning disappeared, Han Fei was nowhere to be seen. On the sea, there was only a lot of charcoal-like flesh and blood left. Ho! There was a roar that seemed to come from the endless sky. Today, there are only 2 chapters. About the relevant questions in the reincarnation secret land, such as whether Chao Xian is the ancestor of the Chao family and whether Yu is Yi Xian's ancestor, these are not traps but pure suspense. It's up to everyone's guess, and there will be no answer in the follow-up. Why there is no sea god statue in the City of Justice? It has been explained before, and what the history after Han Fei left will not be answered. As for other suspense, there will be answers in the next chapter. Today, there are only 2 2-in-1 chapters, and a total of 4 chapters, which is quite a lot. It has been updated for many days, with more than 18,000 words every day. It will be updated normally in the future. In the end, at the beginning of the month, please buy a monthly ticket. End of this chapter. Chapter 1145. The faces of the 3 venerables changed drastically. Someone shouted, "Oh no, that kid is dead? He persevered for so long, so why did he die under this thunderbolt? You 3, come back. Come back." Shimen Tian reached out and tried to grab the 3 of them back. This timing was too King coincidental. The big families couldn't clear their names this time. They wanted to stop Han Fei from passing the heavenly tribulation. However, if they succeeded, they would be afraid of the Beast King's revenge. After all, Han Fei was the first disciple of the 4 venerables. Even so, Shimen Tian still shouted, "Kill Shimen Linglan and the others." However, in the distant sky, the Beast King roared furiously. "Damn you! How dare you kill my disciple? Go to hell!" The first to attack wasn't the Beast King, but the Divine Prince, who rarely appeared. As soon as the Divine Prince appeared, he clenched his fist and the 3 peak-level explorers were crushed in an instant. Then, the Divine Prince dived into the sea and frowned. "You guys, you've gone too far this time." Shimen Tian shouted, "This is a trap." Bam! The huge cudgel broke through the void and directly smashed towards Shimen Tian. The Beast King appeared. F***CKU. Old B** starred, "I only went out for a few days. How dare you attack my disciple? Who gave you the courage?" Shimen Tian raised his sword. "If it wasn't a trap, Why did you come so fast? Ho! The Beast King roared. I'm a half-king. It's easy for me to cross the void. My disciple must pass this tribulation. If you didn't do anything, how could this happen? The 5 supremacies smashed through the space and entered the void. Shimin Linglon went crazy. She scanned the area with her perception again, and tears flowed from her eyes. Impossible, impossible. How could he die? How could he die? Idiot, come out, come out! Shimin Linglon dove into the water. She felt that her perception was deceiving her. The giant void hand scooped up the pieces of flesh and blood and searched for them in the lost mountain sea for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Yang Xiaogao and the others were all in tears. Damn it! They couldn't believe that General Han died just like that. The thunder was clearly gone. This tribulation was clearly about to pass. However, the sky changed color and the void shook. It seemed that a great battle was about to break out. Yang Xiaogao and the others knew that even the Beast King thought that Marshal Han was dead. Bang! Shimin Linglon came out of the water. She was holding a venerable one tailbone in her hand. That was the excuse that the large families used to ruin Han Fei's breakthrough. Now, it was in Shimin Linglon's hands. Yang Xiaogao, EU, and the others gathered behind Shimin Linglon. They didn't dare to say anything. They all knew that even though Shimin Linglon was the city lord, the one who had the final say on the Avenger was General Han. They were afraid that Shimin Linglon would go crazy. However, Shimin Linglon suddenly said, "No, he's not dead. This venerable bone was useless." Although those people entered the heavenly tribulation, they did not immediately cause any changes. Only a venerable one would be able to kill O Yangming without him noticing. However, it's impossible for the Beast King and the Divine Sun to not know about the venerable one's actions. Shimin Linglon was suddenly curious. Why did Han Fei go to the 100,000 mountains? Also, why did the Beast King ask Han Fei to suppress his realm? Why did he have to go through the heavenly tribulation in the mystical mountains? Why did everything seem so coincidental? Bam! Suddenly, blood splashed in the sky. 2 streams of light suddenly appeared and then disappeared. Then, Shimin Tian appeared with half of his body and blocked the attack. Then, his figure was wrapped in a red light and he tried to escape. The Beast King chased after him, but the Divine Sun stepped on the sea and pointed a finger at the void. Shimin Tian's body, which was already seriously injured, exploded. But the next moment, another arrow of blood pierced through the sky. The Divine Sun didn't chase after him. He glanced at Shimin Linglon indifferently. "I searched the universe and didn't find him. My condolences." The Divine Sun only said that he was not suitable for acting, so he just cooperated with the Beast King and went back. The rest was up to the Beast King. Rumble! The battle in the sky lasted for half an hour. During this period, the sky changed color several times. The Beast King's roar resounded through the void. "Good, good, good. I didn't expect that there was a venerable in your family. Old thief Shimin, my 100,000 mountains will remember this enmity. Just wait for this, daddy. 100 years later, when old Gu and Tianqing recover, you will not be able to stop me." The Beast King returned and stopped a kilometer away from Shimin Linglon. His murderous intent was clear. "Little girl, you guard that city. This is a matter of the 100,000 mountains." Shimin Linglon looked at the Beast King stubbornly. "I know that he didn't die. This is a trap. Elder Beast King, please tell me, where is he?" The Beast King roared, "How would I know? If he didn't die, how would I not know? You little girl, sigh. This king has already said that this king will take revenge." Shimin Linglon shouted, "Teacher, what did he say to you when he went to the 100,000 mountains? Why did he suppress his realm? Who is he?" Buzz. The Beast King waved his hand. Shimin Linglon's body softened and she fainted. The Beast King said, "Little girl is possessed. Let her sleep for a while." After saying that, the Beast King disappeared from the endless sea. Yang Xiaogao and the others were left standing on the sea with their minds blank. Han Fei didn't lose consciousness. He still knew to cast the divine healing technique on himself. After half an hour, he slowly opened his eyes, and during this half an hour, he seemed to be lying on cold water. When Han Fei opened his eyes, he saw a big fish looking at him. Seeing that Han Fei had woken up, the big fish said lightly, "Are you awake? Senior Time?" The big fish in front of him was the time dragon carp. Han Fei didn't expect this. He thought that if he put on the time ring, he might be able to wake up in the ideal palace. Han Fei quickly looked around and found that this seemed to be a big cocoon of blue light. Han Fei hurriedly asked, "Senior, where is this?" The time dragon carp looked at him curiously. "This is a time gap. Human, I didn't expect you to be so lucky." Han Fei automatically ignored the second half of the sentence and was shocked. "Time gap? Senior, how was the battle before I came? Do you know?" The time dragon carp said indifferently, "Based on the time here, half a month has passed since that battle. A venerable was seriously injured and it will take him 100 years to recover. Fortunately, you are still wearing the time ring. Otherwise, in your state just now, not only will you be directly lost in the long river of time, but your old body may also be eroded, leaving only your soul." Han Fei took a breath. "Old body?" The time dragon carp sneered. "Speaking of which, when I first saw you, I was a little confused. There was a period of time missing in your life. This time, your soul strayed into the long river of time and barely made up for the missing period of time in your life by interfering with fate. If you can take this body back, it will merge with your original body. You will be complete, and you will no longer be watched by the eye of the heavenly law. Do you understand?" Han Fei shook his head repeatedly. "No." The time dragon carp rolled its eyes, seeming to think that Han Fei was stupid, and explained again, "That is to say, you are an ancient person. When you were young, you were sent across the long river of time to the future. So, you are missing a period of history. Now, you will make up for this period of time by influencing the future. In this way, you will have no regrets in your life. The body you have now and the body you will have in the future are both you. So, when the two merge, you will successfully avoid history and become a person of the future." Han Fei scratched his head. It was not that he didn't understand, but that he understood. Although he understood, he was still dumbfounded. "Is my life so magical?" The time dragon carp sneered. "Magical? That's because you don't know how much someone has paid to break the law of time in this way. Forget it, this is your business. Since you and I deserve this opportunity, I will help you send it back. However, you owe me a huge favor. In the future, you must treat my son better, and it is best to meet all his needs." Han Fei hurriedly said, "Wait a minute." "Huh." Han Fei smiled awkwardly. "Senior, you can travel the long river of time? Can you let me see that woman?" The time dragon carp grunted and said, "But you can only see her through time. You can never see her again. Otherwise, if I appear again, the law of the Great Way will notice me and try to obliterate me." Swish! As the time dragon carp flicked its tail, an image appeared on the blue cocoon of light Beast King Valley, 100,000 mountains. Yuanda scratched his butt and said, "King, little Ling Lan has been kneeling outside for half a month. You really don't want to see her?" Yuan San was waving his stick. "King, this girl is quite pitiful. You'd better see her." The Beast King roared, "See what? I hate the sentimental human beings the most. That brat didn't say it himself. He didn't do a good job and was seen through. And he still wants me to keep it a secret. Bah, I promised to keep it a secret." Yuanda said, "King, why don't we let her go to the Divine Sun?" The Beast King's eyes lit up. "Yes, let her go to the Divine Sun. Let her go quickly." Smack! Yuanda was suddenly slapped to the ground by a hand that suddenly stretched out from the void, making a big pit. The Beast King grinned. "Ha! Divine Sun. I said I could keep it a secret for that kid, but you didn't. You just need to tell little Ling Lon the same thing, and that will be it. Seeing this, Han Fei didn't feel good. Beast King, you're too unreliable. Outside, Shimin Linglon was still kneeling on the ground stubbornly. She had watched over Han Fei for half of her life. How could he die just like that? Something was wrong. The heavenly tribulation was so powerful, but it didn't kill Han Fei. It couldn't kill him at the last moment. Even his body was gone. Yuan San walked out with a big stick. Girl, you're really something. Fine, King wants you to ask the Divine Sun. Maybe the Divine Sun can answer you. Shimin Linglan's eyes lit up and she disappeared. A moment later, on the peak of the mountain, Shimin Linglon said, Lord Divine Sun, I have something to ask you. Please see me. The Divine Sun's voice came slowly. He doesn't belong to this era. This is the answer you want. Shimin Linglon was taken aback. She braced herself and said, Lord Divine Sun, can you make it clearer? I don't understand. Alas. The Divine Sun's voice was unhurried. He came from thousands of years in the future. He traveled through the river of time and came here by chance. He doesn't belong to this era. Shimin Linglon was dumbfounded. He came from thousands of years in the future? He didn't belong to this era? Suddenly, she seemed to understand. Even when Han Fei's consciousness woke up, he had never told her about his memories, not even once. It turned out to be so bizarre. No wonder he refused to have a child when she wanted to. She had thought that she still had a lot of time in the future. It turned out that he had known it a long time ago but didn't tell her, so he faked his death for her? Shimin Linglon gritted her teeth. Lord Divine Sun, can I travel through the river of time? If you become a king or above, you may have a chance to see him through time. It's almost impossible to go back. You can't withstand the corrosion of time for thousands of years. Shimin Linglon was silent for a long time and wiped her eyes casually. Then I'll wait. I'll try to live until he's alive. Swish. All the scenes in front of Han Fei disappeared. The time dragon carp said, This is probably what you're obsessed with. Let's go. Although you can stay in the time gap for a long time, it doesn't mean that you won't be corroded by time. After a moment of silence, Han Fei nodded slightly and murmured to the time barrier, There's a will in the pirate flag.